have run these canyons for 6 million years. I have traveled from the Rocky Mountains to the deserts, through scorching heat and freezing cold, from the land of the dinosaurs to fields of food.
I lend my hand to 7 states, 2 countries, 9 national parks,
and 36 million people across an arid West.
I am not the strongest or the largest, but I am the hardest working.
People love me.
My playfulness,
My beauty.
my power,
My life. But I don't think I can offer any more.
I am
I am
tired,
tired,
tapped,
and tied. Of the hundreds of major rivers in the world, I am one of the few who no longer kisses the sea.
Battles to harness my soul have been won and lost. Use me wisely, and I will sustain you.
Use me like you have, and I will break. My name
is
Red. The Grand River Red. The American Nile.
The Canyon Maker. I am the Colorado River.
And I am the most endangered river in America.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Okay, friends and neighbors, we'll be back to the news of the day in just a moment here. But first, I've got one important question to ask all of you. Have you made your pledge yet to Free Speech TV? And if not, why the hell not? Come on, seriously. You know, we depend on you, we need you, and we count on you to keep us going here at Free Speech TV, because you're all we've got. We don't get any corporate money, we don't get any government money, so all of us, depend. Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman, all the rest depend, Stephanie Miller, depend on you to keep us going on Free Speech TV so we can continue the good work that we do, looking over the news every day, what's happening in Washington, what's happening around the country, what's happening around the globe, what are the important issues that we ought to talk about, particularly what are the progressive issues that we ought to be talking about and working on and fighting for, figuring out the best guests that we can get in studio or on the phone that particular day to help us understand these issues. And then, of course, opening up the phones and opening up the social media lines so you can get involved in the conversation and express your comments and your opinion on what it all means to you and to your family. That's what we do every day. We can only do it with your help. So we ask you to dig in once again. Help keep us on the air here at Free Speech TV. If you can just do $10 a month, that's $120 a year. We'll send you a BP mug, a Bill Press Show mug, and a pound of coffee from our favorite coffee shop just downstairs in this building, Peregrine Coffee. For $20 a month, $240, you will get a very, very special gift indeed. One of the great cheeses from Cowgirl Creamery out on the West Coast, right near where we live in California, Point Reyes Station. And for $30 a month or $360 a year, if you can make that pledge, you'll get the mug and the Cowgirl Creamery. And then, as a very, very special item to show you how much we appreciate your support, if you're in a position to pledge $1,000 to Free Speech TV, get yourself to Washington with a friend. Take the plane, take the train, take the bus, drive here, whatever. Carol and I will take you out to dinner the night before, and the next morning we'll invite you to join us in studio to meet the whole team here and to watch a special edition of the Bill Press Show. So with those incentives, hope that you will understand again and be inspired to do the right thing, particularly now at tax time, and take advantage of that this opportunity to get a little write-off on your taxes by helping Free Speech TV. So it's a twofer. You keep progressive television, Free Speech TV on the air, and you get the tax benefit as well. But again, no government money, no corporate money. Here at Free Speech TV, we depend on you. Thanks so much for your help.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Good morning. It's The Bill Press Show. I am not Bill Press. I am Evan McMorris-Santoro, White House reporter for Buzzfeed.com, filling in for Bill today. It's a huge day for Bill to be gone. Bill has left us with a ton of news today. We have new Obamacare delays. We have new Obamacare NSA changes. We have the Secret Service in trouble again. We have Obama in Europe talking about Ukraine. We've got just everything. We've got gaffes galore. We've got everything you could possibly want today on the Bill Press Show from 6 to 9 a.m. I'm Evan McMorris-Santoro, like I said. Joining me, I'm surrounded. If you're not watching me on the online stream, I'm surrounded by paper, like that old comic strip Shoe with the duck surrounded by paperwork, and that's thanks, that desk he had full of papers, and that's thanks to the crack research staff here at the BP Show. We've got Peter Ogburns in the studio with me,
hey, Evan.
Making sure I don't get into too much trouble, which is a tough job.
Yeah.
We've got Lisa Murphy running the board.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. It's early. But,
yeah. It's late actually around here.
I feel
A little twist of the knife there.
Yeah, well, I came in right on time this morning, folks in Radio Land. I came right on time. Everybody's no stress at all. So we got Alicia Cruz on the calls, and we've got Cyprian Bolding, of course, doing the video, so you can see me and see how late I was. Give us a call if you want to talk to us, 866-55-PRESS. We're obviously on YouTube at youtube.com/Tawker, TAWKR-TV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. At the Bill Press Show, and also you can tweet us at BP Show. And I want to start off actually with a question right from the beginning.
Go ahead.
There was so we're starting the day with a new Obamacare delay, right? So Peter, we have a thing where they have taken the final mandate deadline, the deadline to enroll, that was March 31st, and they've kind of found a way to extend it but not extend it. And of course, the Washington Post, which first reported this news yesterday, they put in the story, they reported what happened, that basically if you are have enrolled in healthcare and haven't had time to make it work, or the website didn't work for you, you can click a box that says, I need to have more time to enroll. Mm-hmm. And of course, the Washington Post helpfully reported that Republicans are going to criticize this. Which has already happened, by the way. Like right from the beginning, we're already seeing criticism.
So that's a great research there. That's a great prediction, by the way.
That's what we call, now listen, in the business, as a White House reporter, I got to say, analysis is a big part of our job. Yeah. People come to White House reporters to, what's going on in the White House? What's the story? What's really happening? That kind of a crackerjack analysis, that Republicans are going to be upset with something that happened with Obamacare, is the exact it's the reason why we all get read, I think. It's the reason why I get up in the morning.
Yeah.
So the question I have for the audience to start off with is this new Obamacare delay, and again, this is the kind of thing that will allow people to spend more time to sign up. There's a lot of sort of controversy in terms of how it actually works. We can get into that more later. But the question is, this Republican criticism, will it ever go away for this law? Does it matter? Would it have mattered if the news today was that everything was working? Are the GOP critics of the law ever going to be silenced by anything Obama does with the law? If you have any answers on that, tweet us at BP Show. Give us a call at 866-55-PRESS. We'll start off the day with that. So before we get into all that, though, let's do some news and all that other stuff.
You got it.
This is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple of other very, very big stories making news. Evan, good morning.
Hey.
Sad news yesterday. Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin, the lead singer of Coldplay, announced that they are separating after 10 years of marriage. They put out a statement on Paltrow's website, Goop. That's the name of her website.
Oh, that's what the Goop thing was? Yeah. I saw so much Goop stuff on the internet. I don't know what that was.
Her website is just called Goop. And they put this is such a perfect, it's just a titled statement, and the title of the statement is Conscious Uncoupling.
Oh.
It's not a
That sounds
divorce.
NSFW. For
Nice alliteration.
It's not a divorce. It's not a separation. It is a conscious uncoupling, is what they're calling it.
Oh my God!
I mean, I just love that.
A conscious uncoupling. I mean, I have to say, so this is basically Gwyneth Paltrow was a huge. So what is she now? She's basically like the organic food person.
Yeah.
And what does the Coldplay guy do now? Like they do like cell phone ads.
Yes, exactly. I mean, they sell their music now for commercials.
This is organic food splits with cell phone ads. That's entertainment news.
Entertainment Magazine put together the 25 most trusted brands in America. Number 1 on the list. Any guesses?
Buzzfeed.com.
BuzzFeed, very, very good, Evan, but no, I'm sorry, it's not number 1. Number 1 is Sephora. The fragrance store in the
sure. In the
most
mall.
American malls.
Right, the expensive scent, the smell store.
That's
the place
the
you
one.
walk by and it smells. It smells like various smells.
That's the one.
And it's the place you can go in and absolutely pay for nothing and walk out with some makeup and some perfume.
Is that right?
So can I ask, how does going into a store and getting a bunch of stuff for free make you trust a brand more?
I guess that's the thing, is you can go in and like sample everything before you buy it. Maybe.
Are you? I mean, I'm
it's
not
a good
Sephora
business
user.
model.
Are you a Sephora customer?
Yeah, I actually go there quite a bit.
Do you trust it a lot?
I don't know if I trust it. It's just a handy one place you can go.
Yeah, she uses it a lot, although she's not so sure. She's
wary.
Still kind of tentative.
By the way, other brands on the list. Number 2 is In-N-Out Burger. Number 3 is Publix, which shout out to Publix, by the way.
Grocery store.
Southern grocery store. Number 4 is Patron.
I don't trust that.
I do not trust Patron.
Who's the guy? Okay. I want to see an ad with the guy who trusts Patron. Like the creepiest guy.
Patron for 25 years.
I trust Patron. Like that guy. It's like the opposite of the most interesting man in the world. Like seriously, like the most like sleaziest man in the world. Like when it comes down to it,
who do you trust?
I trust
Patron, the name I could count on.
He's got a Sephora bag in the other hand.
Exactly.
All right.
And one final story, musician Pharrell Williams has spoken out on who he thinks is going to win in 2016. He sat down for an interview with GQ and predicts that Hillary is going to win. And this is his quote. I'm just reading verbatim here. Quote, "You got the Democrats, you got the Republicans, you got the Bloods, you got the Crips. You know what else is blue? You know what else is red and blue? Blood. Blood is blue in your body until air hits it, and then it turns red. That means there's unity." Anyway, that's going to happen. Unity is going to happen. That's going to happen when Hillary wins.
That is the exact clip from Spinal Tap, right? Where he wears this shirt with the bones in it, and the shirt and it has green bones. Right. And he says, the guy says, these are my bones in the shirt, and he goes, no, they're not your bones. It's like, no, actually, your bones are green. If you look at until you look at him, it looks like the blood is blue. It's Pharrell. He's doing that.
That's what he's doing. So
anyway. I don't know, though. He also, one assumes that he thought he was going to win that Oscar, too, for that song, which he didn't.
Oh, right. That's right.
So I don't know if he's...
I wouldn't put a lot of stock into his prognostication.
I would say this. I would be happy to ask him, though, if he thinks Republicans are going to criticize the latest Obamacare moves.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, let's get him to that kind of punditry. let's bring him in. Well... So that's all amazing. What do you think of this happy song? Are you guys all listening to that all the time? And what do you?
I'm on board. You
got kids, so
I do like.
Do they love it too? Is it a family affair?
I don't pay attention to what they like.
What, you're not like indoctrinating them with?
No. I mean,
with
like,
your death metal and all.
No. I asked my kids. Like my kids, one of my kids for Christmas got a drum set.
Okay.
And so we also gave him like an old iPod. That I used to have, and he was like, all right, so you can put a bunch of drum songs on here, and I can learn to drum on this. So I put like some Zeppelin.
Yeah.
I put Queens of the Stone Age on there.
Yeah.
I put a bunch of just badass drum songs, right?
Yeah.
And so now he asks for that type of stuff.
Oh, smart.
So like, I personally don't listen to a lot of Pharrell, but I don't turn it off when it's on.
I thought it was a good performance at the Oscars.
Yeah.
I watched it. I thought it was cool.
The hat thing is obviously a problem.
I mean, and I totally missed all my chances to talk about this on this show, but the fact that Arby's bought that hat,
beautiful,
is my favorite thing.
It's beautiful.
Like, why would you not?
It's like, that's the most perfect thing on the internet.
It feels like Arby's has just become, and this is like, I've been saving this. It feels like Arby's just become like a person who goes to Arby's, like they're at home, they're just like looking on eBay. Oh, give me the hat.
Yeah. By the way,
I'm drunk on horsey sauce. just give it to me.
I don't see Arby's anywhere on the most trusted brands list.
No,
I'm looking at the top 25.
Shocking.
Top 25. Number 7 is Panera Bread.
Interesting.
I'm good with that.
You know, my father-in-law is a huge Panera brand bread truster.
Is that right?
Like he's really
bread
into
truster.
it. Yeah, oh, definitely. He's totally on board with Panera Bread. And you know the thing about Panera Bread, they also have a new version of Panera Bread that is like a free or like a pay what you can.
Oh yeah.
So this is like the Sephora thing. So it turns out, give stuff away for free, people will trust you.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's gotta be it.
That seems weird to me.
Yeah, no Arby's on this. Chipotle is on here at number 17.
Of course, Chipotle is on there. Okay, all right. Apple's on there.
Apple Store is number 10.
Is Microsoft on there?
I'm sorry. No. Well, number 21.
The Zune.
Number 21. TJ Maxx.
Oh, no.
All right. Well, that seems pretty good. I mean, we need to get some more. We need to get Bill Press show. We need to get Bill Press to become the most trusted brand in America.
I mean, the most trusted
Where
brand.
is Bill, anyway?
You know where Bill is? He's in Hawaii.
Oh.
And so yesterday, as it's spring and it's snowing here, he sent me a text yesterday from the beach just to let me know, just to rub it in.
Was it I found the real birth certificate?
He's looking for the actual long form.
He's looking for it, yeah.
Because another one was garbage. He needs the long form.
Yeah.
And the college records from Obama, which is also...
It should be Trump's greatest move, is that if he sent Bill Press to go find it.
They've come together.
That's it.
He's in Hawaii enjoying the sun and sand while we're here in the snow.
That's great. I mean, because we're out in this late snow, so that's great. So, well, let's just move on from him then, and never talk about him again while he's over there. We've got a great show today. We've got just a great lineup of guests. We got editor-in-chief of Roll Call, Christina Bellantoni. We've got the political reporter from the Huffington Post and future Bill Press Show guest host Sabrina Siddiqui. We've got the president of Enroll America, Ann Filipic. I'm really excited for this interview, actually. This is a big group that does a lot of stuff with Obamacare enrollment, and she's going to talk all about it, and we're going to talk to her about this Obamacare delay and what things are going in the last 5 days. We've got a great GOP strategist, Ford O'Connell, coming on. We've got Olivier Knox from Yahoo News, where we're going to talk about the Supreme Court decision. So we'll be right back. So stay strapped in and hoard that horsey sauce.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, friends and neighbors, we'll get back to the news of the day in just a moment here. But first, I got a couple of questions for you. First one, are you enjoying Free Speech TV? Well, I know the answer to that one. If you weren't, you wouldn't keep watching. We appreciate that. Good to have you with us. And the second question is, since you enjoy Free Speech TV so much, have you done your share to keep us on the air? Have you made your pledge? If so, we thank you because so many of you have. But if not, let's get on it. Do it today. It is so important. Look, again, I don't have to tell you how special Free Speech TV is. I'm very, very proud to be part of it. Less than a year right now. But it's the only place you can find such great hosts, Tom Hartman, Stephanie Miller, Amy Goodman. I hope I'm one of them. And it's all content-free, no commercials, the only truly independent and progressive cable channel that is out there. You won't find it anywhere else. But the thing is, we depend on you. That's the only way we can stay on the air. We get no corporate money, no government money, no sponsor money, right? It is all from our viewers that keep us going. So we ask you to give us a call today, 877-378-8669, or you can go to freespeech.org and make your pledge. And as a little reward for making your pledge, if you can do us this $10 a month, $120, we'll send you a Bill Press Show mug. You can have your coffee with us every day, and a pound of coffee from Washington's favorite little coffee shop, which is right downstairs in our building. It's called Peregrine Coffee. If you can afford $20 a month, $240 pledge, you will get a very, very special treat. from one of my favorite little businesses out in West Marin, California, West Marin County, from Cowgirl Creamery, a selection of their best cheeses. I think they're the best cheeses on the planet, and I've lived in Switzerland, so I know. Cowgirl Creamery for $240. For $360 or $30 a month, we'll send you the Cowgirl Creamery and a mug. And here's something very, very special. If you can do it and you can afford $1,000 for Free Speech TV, then make your way to Washington as a little special treat. I'll take you out to dinner with Carol, and we'll invite you and a guest in to watch the show the next morning here in our studio in downtown Washington, D.C. So those are just our ways of saying thank you ahead of time to you. Please do it. Please consider it today. And again, the number to call is 877-378-8669, or you can go to freespeech.org. We love bringing the show to you every morning, love being with you every day, and ask you to be with us by making your pledge as soon as you can and as generously as you can. Thank you so much.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
And we are back on the most trusted brand in America, The Bill Press Show. I'm Evan McMorris-Santoro, White House reporter for Buzzfeed, guest hosting for Bill while he is apparently in Hawaii, which is, that's his prerogative, I guess, his show. So let's jump back in a little bit what we talked about earlier at the top of the show about this new Obama administration healthcare delay. The main thrust of it, the gist of it, the important thing that people need to know about is that what they're doing is providing for people to have longer to enroll, to get their enrollment done than the existing March 31st deadline. And the way they're doing that is that they're saying to people, if you come and you tell us that you had trouble trying to enroll during the deadline period, during the existing deadline period that's prescribed by law, we will believe you and we will give you more time. How much more time? We're not exactly sure how much longer yet. They said maybe mid-April. But basically what this will allow people to do is have access to the online enrollment system for weeks longer than was predicted. More than was actually put in by law. So this has been something that a lot of critics expected was going to happen, but it's sort of a different way that it's happened than we expected that it would.
Let me play devil's avocado here for just a moment.
Oh, do it. Yeah.
Okay, so there's no denying that the rollout of Obamacare has been flawed. Right?
That's true.
And
the president would say that.
The president has said that. The website was a total mess. And so now you've got this, which is the latest sort of hiccup in the rollout of Obamacare. You have Republicans now, after 4 years, saying that they have their plan.
Yes, that's right.
Right. So now they're going to start pushing their plan. And so is this sort of, in your opinion, watching this at the White House, is this showing cracks in Obamacare, and does this show an opening for Republicans to sort of come in and do something with it?
Well, on the one hand, right, so this goes two directions. On the one hand, the White House has been trying, administration has been trying to get the enrollment numbers as high as they possibly can. This has been the big metric they had right along, right? First they said we're going to get 7 million, and they backed off of that. Now they're saying maybe they want 6 million. That's what CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, says that they need to make Obamacare work. There's some question about that. I'm actually working on a story today at BuzzFeed.com about this exact issue. So on the one hand, if they get those enrollments up higher, then they'll have something to crow about. They say, look, people have signed up for this and they're really interested in this. They've been talking about how there's been a big surge in interest in the website as this final March 31st deadline has approached. They've had the biggest traffic they've ever had on their website. This is all positives for them. It shows things are working, people are interested, and people want it. On the other hand, you have the fact that it's another issue in which it feels like the website just or the whole rollout just hasn't really worked perfectly, and they've had to sort of find ways around it and had to sort of rig up something, and that makes it tougher. But I generally feel like if you look at the overall push of the news and of the storyline here, the big moment for Republicans on Obamacare was before it happened. Before October, which is why you saw that government shutdown, why you saw such a big focus on trying to stop it before it happened, because their fear was once it kicked in, it was going to be very, very hard to stop it and take it away. And you've already seen that now that it exists, as flawed as it is, as many problems as there have been, as difficult as it has been to roll out and sell and advertise and market, you're seeing Republicans backing off the idea of repeal. They're talking about their own alternative now. You're seeing people in town halls. Democrats are pushing around a lot of videos of like Scott Brown and these other guys in town halls getting confronted with constituents or potential voters who are saying to them, like, there's some stuff in this that I like. So Republicans definitely have a lot to say about how the public still doesn't really trust the law, just doesn't think it really works that well.
Right.
But overall, it seems like a lot of the news is moving in the White House's direction in terms of public acceptance of the law, having some positive stories to talk about, and Republicans sort of running away from the idea of like, let's just get rid of this at all costs. Yeah. So it's difficult to say what this new thing will do, but I think that if they come out with a bunch of new enrollments, they'll be happy with that.
That, I think, is the big key for them, right? Like, no matter what happens or what has happened in the past with the website glitch and the deadlines and things like that, they have a leg to stand on in the sense that they could say 5 million, probably 6 million by the time that they get there. But let's say for now, 5 million people now have health care.
Yeah. Well, also look at it's kind of like a car ad, right? They're like, this sale's been so popular, we're extending it for 5 more days, right? They come in, they're like, so many people are coming to Obamacare, are coming to healthcare.gov. We're extending it. I'm mad. I'm crazy Obama. I've got healthcare for nothing.
By the way, I hate to report this, but among the 25 most trusted brands, Obamacare not on there. I hate to be the one.
I am shocked.
Obamacare not on there.
What about Republican healthcare alternative?
Also not on there. Also not on there.
Not on there.
Damn.
So yeah, look, this is a huge. There is no doubt that Democrats know this is a huge issue, but I think that maybe this new story may be a little bit different than we think.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Well, we'll be back. Call us 866-55-PRESS. Talk to us about what you think about this Obamacare extension, and we will see you on the other side of the break.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey friends, we'll be back to the news and your commentary and your comments in just a moment. But first, let me just be very, very straight with you. We need your help. You know what Free Speech TV is all about? We're very, very lucky and very proud to be part of it. But it's the only place that you can find completely independent, unfettered, no restrictions, news and commentary from the left all day long, with no corporate money, no commercials, no government money. But without all of that, we depend on you. And we ask for your help and need your help this time of the year. By the way, it's a good time to make a contribution because you can take it off on your taxes. Don't forget that. We know you love free speech. If you didn't, you wouldn't be watching. But again, we can only stay on the air. The only source of funding we have is your help. So many of you have helped already. We thank you for that. And for those of you who haven't yet, you intend to do so, you just didn't get around to it, do it today. Call that number, 877-378 8669, 877-378-8669, or go to freespeech.org. Freespeech.org, and make whatever pledge you can. Now, I hope you do it out of the goodness of your heart, but maybe just as a little extra incentive, we'll offer you a couple of special premiums. If you can pledge just $10 a month, $120 a year, we'll give you a Bill Press Show mug and a pound of coffee from our favorite coffee shop, Peregrine, right down on the street level in this building. For $20 a month, $240 a year, very, very special. The best cheese in the world, take it from me, made out in Point Reyes Station, California, from Cowgirl Creamery. They're wonderful, wonderful people. Send you a Cowgirl Creamery a special item. And for $360 a year or $30 a month, you'll get the mug and the Cowgirl Creamery. Now, here's something very, very special. Those of you who can, make a very special pledge of $1,000 to Free Speech TV. You get your way to Washington. Got a deal for you. Carol and I will take you and a guest out to dinner and then invite you here into the studio the next morning to watch the show with all of us. So whatever pushes your button, please be as generous as you can. And again, do it today at that number, 877-378-8669. Take advantage of that tax opportunity to get your tax contribution. And most importantly, to show your support and show your help for Free Speech TV. We are there with you and for you every single day of the week. We need you to be there for us this one special time of the year. Thanks for your help.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
Good morning. It's The Bill Press Show. I am Evan McMorris-Santoro, guest hosting for Bill. And, you know, I love your listeners, Peter.
Sure.
You know, it's a great group of people. I've already gotten one snarky tweet.
Oh, good.
Thanks and things that I've done.
Only one?
Yeah, which is great. And, you know, my question is, so far I have attacked Arby's. I have attacked Sephora.
But you have praised their horsey sauce.
I have praised their horsey sauce. I've attacked Arby's. I've attacked Sephora, America's trusted brands.
Most trusted
I can't get a single call. So this is my question. I want to ask the audience, 866-55-PRESS, at BP Show is our Twitter handle. Let's talk about something really quick. Let's talk about this Edward Snowden thing. Let's talk about the NSA. Something happened yesterday. President Obama came out, proposed a string of pretty heavy reforms. We're going to talk a bit more about these when Sabrina Siddiqui from HuffPo comes on. But a string of heavy reforms to the NSA that would essentially get rid of this big data collection program that Edward Snowden is famous for putting out there. Now, still, regardless of, now that Obama agrees that we should get rid of it, and a lot of people in Congress agree that we should get rid of it, Edward Snowden is still in Russia. Where he feels he can't leave because if he comes here, he'll be arrested and thrown in Leavenworth or whatever, or wherever they put people. Right. So my question is to the audience that maybe knows about this new NSA thing: has Obama's new move proven Edward Snowden right? And should Edward Snowden be allowed to come back to America now and be like, hey man, thanks for what you did, no harm, no foul, or is he still is he still a criminal and needs to go to jail?
The fact that the President of the United States, after all this bluster, right, over the past 10 months or whatever since Snowden stuff came out, actually had to sort of admit, maybe at a point, like he didn't say, an endorsement of Snowden, but he admits that what they have been doing is not okay.
Yeah, I will tell you this too. It's also funny because you have this is sort of classic Obama in that way, that you have the thing where he eventually comes around to what his base wants,
right.
But ahead of it, he does all this stuff that they don't like, right. A lot of people in Obama's base wanted to see this stuff change, right? And it takes him a long time to come around to it, and then he finally, when the time comes around to it, it's like, oh, but you're in Europe and Obamacare, and it's not. You don't get the big news day out of it that you generally would have gotten, you know?
Yeah. So,
Edward Snowden called it a turning point. Edward Snowden says this is a turning point. It marks the beginning of a new effort to reclaim our rights from the NSA and restore the public seat at the table of government. That is as much of a victory lap as you're going to get from Edward Snowden.
Yeah, from a guy who's exiled in Russia.
Right, who's hanging out in Russia right now.
That's about as bad.
So, I wonder, is this a worthy victory lap? Do you think that, do people think that he should be able to come home now and, I don't know, be given a medal? Bill used to say they should build a statue to him on the National Mall.
He did say that.
Bill's also in Hawaii right now. Bill has fled to Hawaii.
Yes, exactly. He's exiled.
After he said that.
He's exiled.
866-55-PRESS, Twitter, at BP Show. So
when Bill talks about that, you mentioned how much Bill appreciates what Edward Snowden has done.
Yeah.
He's usually met with some criticism from our listeners, right? Like, they think that Edward Snowden is a traitor, and I don't know how much of that is driven by the fact that the president called him a traitor, or is against him. Mm-hmm. So I would be very curious to hear what our listeners have to say about that.
Me too, because this is such a big change, because you have not heard Snowden really say. He basically praised Obama's move. It's basically as far as you're going to get. After Obama made that first big speech about it too, where he kind of mentioned Snowden also kind of said something nice about kind of like the speech that Obama had made, and sort of like, I feel like the Glenn Greenwalds and the Edward Snowdens of the world feel like they have pulled this off.
Yeah,
like they have actually convinced everybody this is a bad thing.
Yeah, I think so too.
Right, and that was not clear from the very beginning. Obama was pretty adamant that we needed to have these programs and keep this stuff going.
Edward Snowden was met with as much criticism as you're going to see from the president, right? We were putting planes on the ground from world leaders because we thought that there was a chance that Edward Snowden may be on it.
Right.
That's a big deal.
It's pretty wild.
It's a big deal.
And look at that. Ask and you shall receive.
There you go.
We have Gary from Mount Hermon, Louisiana, on the phone, and I guess you want to talk about Edward Snowden, Gary?
Yes, sir.
All right. What do you got?
With all this talk about Obama changing his views on the NSA, even Republicans and all, and I'll bring him home, and don't put him in a cell. Give him a damn office. We need guys like him.
What kind of office? You think like he's like a government watchdog job or something?
Yeah, have him. Hell, even bring Manning out and stuff. We need this kind of watchdog stuff. Republicans are trying to screw us on everything. We need hell. Even a lot of the Democrats are not really that trustworthy.
All right, give him an office.
Gary.
Give him an office. Thanks, Gary.
That's a real argument that Bill has made, right?
Right.
You don't have to necessarily agree with Bill that this guy's a hero. It should be like we should put a statue on the National Mall. Okay, that's a bit far. But there is, I think, room for someone who has said, look, I know how these things work, or I've seen how this works. I see some things that need to be fixed. And we give him some sort of oversight, right, on top of that stuff.
Yeah, I think the last time he had some oversight on some of the stuff he took a whole bunch of stuff.
Good point.
Yeah,
who's going to oversee him?
I think this is so interesting because I do feel like maybe because it's Obama in power, there hasn't really been the sort of level of rallying around this guy, and maybe because he fled to China and Russia. It's not a great look,
right?
To flee to China and then Russia and then try to go to Ecuador, which my colleague Rosie Gray's done a lot of great reporting on what exactly it's like for people who are trying to tell the government to change its ways in Ecuador, and it's not great.
Yeah.
So, and it's a very interesting idea. I mean, it's this Cold War, I guess, idea. You're fleeing to countries that are not nice to people who are dissidents, but are happy to see America look bad.
Right.
So, it doesn't exactly plead your case very well.
Right.
Yeah. So that could be part of it. All right. Well, that was good.
I think we may have a few more calls coming in. So before we
got more.
Yeah, before we get to those,
great.
I want to ask you about I want to talk to you a little bit about the progressive view of Edward Snowden.
Okay, let's talk about
it. Because there is a view that he has done more harm to this country than good, and so the argument of he's here to help shed light on what's going on, right? Like there's to shed light on some of the things that are going on. Is that something that you believe he's lived up to, or do you think he's more of a troublemaker than anything?
I don't have the notion to weigh in on it one way or the other. I will say that I think that there is an amazing amount of the controversy that he has caused has really been something special, and something that's been really interesting in terms of when Obama was elected. I think a lot of people who elected Obama expected that a lot of these things that people associated with the Bush administration about the post 9/11 world and the immediate post 9/11 world and all this sort of stuff was going to be going away. Yeah. And one of the things that Snowden sort of showed and Snowden put out there was that Obama administration was just as much into a lot of the stuff as the Bush administration was, and that caused a lot of people being upset in from the progressive side, but also from the Republican side. I mean, look, a lot of this issue is, I think that people feel like there hasn't been a full accounting. You even have Clapper, who was the head of the DNI and leader of our intelligence agencies, saying that maybe that they should have been more upfront about what they were doing beforehand instead of keeping it secret.
Yeah.
But that's my take. I don't know.
All right.
Let's talk to Shelby in Bellwood, Alabama. Shelby, what do you think about Edward Snowden and all this?
I think Edward Snowden.
Smart take.
Oh, I think we got a cell tower problem in Shelby. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
My thing is that Edward Snowden should be allowed to come back to the States and go straight to jail.
Okay.
All right.
That's
Thanks,
it.
Shelby. Appreciate it.
That's it. So far we've got, by the way, 2 Southern callers, which is very cool.
Yeah.
So we've got
people.
That's right. Yeah, North Carolina, South Carolina.
Yeah.
We're in here. So we've got give him an office, and we got to go straight to jail.
There you go.
I assume do not collect $200.
We need a tiebreaker
on the
at some
way.
point.
Yes. Well, yeah. So this topic is not going to be going away. I mean, and we'll see. And we're going to talk to Sabrina Siddiqui a little later about what the chances are for these reforms in Congress. But in the meantime, 866-55-PRESS. You can give us your take on this. Tweet us at BP Show. Snowden. He's going to be around the news for a much longer. BP Bill Press Show coming back at you.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, friends, just a little break here and time out to tell you about something very, very important. It's that time again when we turn to you and ask for your help because we wouldn't be here without you. You know, it's so funny. Everywhere I go, people always say, man, you got 3 hours to fill every morning. How do you do it? How do you keep up with all of it? Well, let me tell you, we work hard at it. I mean, we start at the end of every show. The first thing we do, we just sit right down and start planning the next day's show and get a rough outline kind of where we want to go and what guests we might want to have and what we think the big issues are going to be. And then we go out and all day long, we're watching the news, reading the news, looking at the websites, following everything. I'm down at the White House every day at the briefings and keeping on top of things down there. And then we, meantime, Peter and Elisa particularly are on the phone, booking our guests for the next day. We reconvene in a conference call, at 5 o'clock every afternoon and find out what guests we've got and where we think we're going to go the next day in terms of issues and things we want to talk about. We're also watching that evening, and then the next morning before every show, we reconvene again and sit down and put it finally together. And then we're on the air. So, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but we love doing it, and we couldn't do it without you. That's the important thing, because Free Speech TV, no corporate money, no government money. It is all viewer contributions. We work only for you and depend on you and ask you to help us once again as generously as you can. And there's a little incentive to do so. You can go to freespeech.org, make your contribution, freespeech.org. If you can give us $120, that's $10 a month. We will send you a mug, a Bill Press mug, and a pound of coffee from Peregrine Coffee, our favorite coffee shop downstairs in this building, for $240 or $20 a month. From Cowgirl Creamery, the best cheese in the world, believe me, made in California, close to our home in California. A special package from Cowgirl Creamery for $360 or $30 a month. You'll get the Cowgirl Creamery selection and a Bill Press mug as well. And a very special treat for those of you able to do so and willing to pledge $1,000 of Free Speech TV. You make your way to Washington anytime with a guest. I will take you and your guest out to dinner, some fabulous restaurant in Washington, and invite you in to watch the show the next morning. So I know you're part of the free speech community, or else you wouldn't be watching this morning. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your help in the past. And now please ask you to dig in again. You know how important it is. I know how much you depend on the independent expression of progressive opinion you only get on Free Speech TV. Now's the time to help again, and thank you.
And online, this is the Bill Press Show.
All right, good morning, Bill Press Show. We're 47 minutes in to this 6 to 9 a.m. romp through the news. People to talk to from D.C. I'm Evan McMorris-Santoro, White House reporter for Buzzfeed.com, filling in for Bill Press. We have got a great guest to kick things off on our guest lineup today. Christina Bellantoni, editor-in-chief of Roll Call, former White House reporter, former TPM rock star, former TV producer, political editor at NewsHour. Basically, the most jam-packed resume of anybody in Washington. Christina, thank you for being on the show.
Well, thank you for that introduction. I appreciate it. The best thing on that resume is getting to work with you when we were at TPM together.
Oh my! Well, great. Fortunately, we're on the internet TV, so people can see how much blushing I'm doing right now. Thank you for doing that to me. 6:45 in the morning. Well, we don't have much time with you, Christina, because I know you got a really busy morning. You got to run that roll call. So let me just jump right in with you, and I want to talk to you about something that happened because you've covered the White House and you've covered Congress, and obviously you lead now, some of the best congressional coverage in Washington at Roll Call. And I'm wondering what we've seen yesterday, or we saw at the end of the day yesterday, was something happened where President Obama has been trying to get this Ukraine aid package through Congress. It's been delayed. Yesterday, Harry Reid tweaked it a bit, took out some stuff that was controversial to Republicans involving IMF reform. I wonder if you can tell us, do you feel like that now that change has been made, that it's much more likely to pass? And if you could put it in context of sort of like Obama's dealings with Congress, do you feel like this is a lesson for the president? He wanted to get this bill passed fast, and now he's had to change the bill a little bit.
Yes, that is exactly all correct. Basically, Harry Reid is trying to help the president not get poked in the eye, which Congress tends to like to do, and it didn't used to happen in the Democratic-controlled Senate, but it has definitely been happening over the last few months, especially on some of his nominations. And as the president travels abroad, he could use a win from Congress right now. And it's a sticky issue because foreign policy has been an area where the president, sure, Republicans went after him on Benghazi and some other issues, but for the most part, they're not really attacking him on that, right? The Republicans prefer to keep after him on Obamacare, which I'm sure you were talking about this hour with the new delays on signing up for that. Yeah. But, so in this case, it's been an okay situation, but then you have the whole Iran sanctions thing, which is this weird agreement between Harry Reid and Barack Obama. They're not going to put this bill forward because the president would veto it. Everybody else wants to see it happen, and so that's like the backdrop for the Ukraine vote. So, yeah, Reid is basically helping assure that this will pass. They are trying to give him a little bit of a boost, and he's out there. I mean, he put these tough sanctions in place last week of Putin and his inner financial allies, and this is the area where it seems like people can support it now. I mean, don't get this legislation passed out of committee on a bipartisan vote. I think it was like 12-3 or something like that. Pretty overwhelming. But the IMF thing is what everybody says is the sticking point. So that puts the Republican feet to the fire a little bit. Okay, well, that's gone. Let's see what happens now.
So do you feel like then, you talk about the Iran thing too. It feels like it's two occasions where Reid has had to come in and maybe help the president out. I mean, is this just as a bad congressional strategy? I mean, this long into the Obama administration, do they still not know how to deal with Congress, or is this just sort of like the kind of games that has to be? Is this kind of a game you think being played to show, show the some members of Congress that he's trying to push stuff and others that he's not trying to push stuff? Is this a real issue for him, or just political theater?
No, it is. It is a real issue, and it's twofold because the White House still has trouble dealing with Congress in its communication style, in its approach to legislation, in its approach to really not needing Congress all that much. I mean, the State of the Union, Democrats like that because gave them a little bit of something to campaign on, right? Minimum wage, gave them the lie everybody loves about, when a woman succeeds, America succeeds, right? Mm-hmm. But they don't like the whole, hey, by the way, I can take my pen and do it around you thing any more than the Republicans do. In the end, the Democrats don't want to see the president acting on their own. They'd like to get some wins of their own. So there's that. Then you have the fact that, of course, it's an election year. And I know it must seem like to anybody that it's always an election year, right? I mean, there's always either an election year or the year before an election year. And so that colors everything. And, of course, listeners to this show are going to understand politics in that way. But, I mean, it is unfortunate that you have such a limited window to do anything or to get anything done. But that's part of it. People don't want to see anybody having a victory. And that's why I actually will point out, we had an extraordinary story last week looking at how Cantor got this bill for pediatric cancer research through. That's fascinating, the fact that, the president supported it, it passed the Senate, it was a giant, House Republican thing that they held up. It depleted the funds for party conventions. And somehow that happened. Like, wow, there's a bipartisan win, and nobody's even talking about it. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, it's weird because
it's rare.
Yeah, no, it is so rare. And usually we have to. It's like almost like a breaking news alert. Like Congress actually proceeds and legislates, and it is. It's a fascinating moment that we're having right now with this, and especially with all this stuff going on in terms of, this Ukraine thing is happening. There's a lot of stuff happening in the world, and the president wants to, look like he's strong, and he's having maybe a hard time with Congress. But I think, as you say, he's also brought some of this on himself with his difficulty in dealing with Congress. So
yeah, and especially as the presidential race turns on after the midterm elections, like it's only going to get harder, I think. I mean, if you had a Republican Senate, you might actually get a few things done because they're going to have to show something for the majority, but who knows what's going to happen.
So, all right. Well, what do you think about? You talk about the elections. Just really quick. We're moving to election season. Republicans, are pretty confident about winning the Senate back. You guys do a lot of election coverage at Roll Call. Do you think that that they're right to be confident about it?
Yeah, they are right to be confident about it. I have most people telling me it's better than a 50% chance. I'm not going to go there yet. One thing that I like to point people toward is we do these race rating maps. You can find at rollcall.com/politics. We literally rate every single race. Okay,
we'll check them out. Sorry, I got to cut you off, but thank you for coming on, Christina. It's great. Have a great rest of the day. Christina Bellantoni, follow her online at @CBellantoni. Roll Call Editor-in-Chief.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, friends, lots to talk about today, lots going on, and we'll get right back to the news of the day and our Bill Press Show this morning in just a second. But first, I want to take a little time out once again to ask for your help for all of us here at Free Speech TV. I don't have to tell you how much, I've told you before, how much we love being with you first thing in the morning, bring you the news of the day. We love the fact that you're with us, but we wouldn't be here without you, and we really do need your help. That's what makes the difference on Free Speech TV. We don't get any corporate money. We don't get any government funding. All of our, we don't get any commercial funding. All of our money, all of our revenue for Free Speech TV comes from you, our viewers. I know you appreciate Free Speech TV. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching. You know that you get here totally unfettered, totally independent, just right, straight news of the day with good progressive commentary all day long from me and from Tom Hartman and Stephanie Miller and Amy Goodman, all of our good friends at Free Speech TV. Well, we wouldn't be here without you. It's just as simple as that. You've been very generous in the past. We're very excited that so many of you already this pledge drive have stepped up to the plate. We thank you for that, and if you haven't already done so, I encourage you to make that big call today to 877-378-8669 and make your pledge. Be as generous as you can to Free Speech TV, just to keep this independent, the one single progressive television network on the air, and that is Free Speech TV. And encourage you to do so. Very, very excited to be able to offer you. If you could just give us $10 pledge, $10 a month, that's $120 a year. You get a Bill Press Show mug and a pound of coffee from our favorite coffee shop downstairs here in our building. If you can up that to $20 a month and a pledge of $240, which we thank you, you'll love the cheese from Cowgirl Creamery. It comes from a part of Marin County where we live in California. I think it's the best cheese in the entire world. We'll send you a selection of Cowgirl Creamery. And for $360 or $30 a month, you get the Cowgirl Creamery, Cowgirl cheese selection, and the Bill Press mug. That's $30 a month or $360. And then, very, very special, and some of you have signed up for this already, if you can afford to help Free Speech with $1,000 and make your way to Washington, D.C., here's what. We will take you out to dinner at one of our favorite restaurants in Washington and invite you to come here the next morning in studio with us to see the show. That'll be a great deal of fun. Hope you'll take advantage of that. Again, the number to make your pledge is 877-378-8669. We depend on you. Please be as generous as you can. Thank you.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Good morning, Bill Press Show coming back. I'm Evan McMorris-Santoro, White House reporter for Buzzfeed, filling in for Bill. And, you might know him from North Carolina, from Chapel Hill, born and raised. So you might be wondering, how does a guy who grew up in the shadow of the greatest basketball program in America, how is his bracket doing?
Yeah, I was wondering that.
Well, according to Yahoo.com, where my bracket is being hosted, I have 31 of 48 games picked correctly.
Okay.
Okay. I have, let's see, like 9 Elite 8 teams out. I think 7 of my Elite 8 teams are already gone. Basically, it's been horrible. So I just thank you for asking, America. I am not a good basketball prognosticator. All right, that's the Bill Press Show. We'll talk about it more next hour.
This is the Bill Press Show.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making Home Affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Okay, friends and neighbors, we'll be back to the news of the day in just a moment here. But first, I've got one important question to ask all of you. Have you made your pledge yet to Free Speech TV? And if not, why the hell not? Come on, seriously. You know, we depend on you, we need you, and we count on you to keep us going here at Free Speech TV because you're all we've got. We don't get any corporate money, we don't get any government money, so all of us, depend. Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman, all the rest depend. Stephanie Miller depend on you to keep us going on Free Speech TV, so we can continue the good work that we do, looking over the news every day. What's happening in Washington? What's happening around the country? What's happening around the globe? What are the important issues that we ought to talk about? Particularly, what are the progressive issues that we ought to be talking about and working on and fighting for? Figuring out the best guests that we can get in studio or on the phone that particular day to help us understand these issues. And then, of course, opening up the phones and opening up the social media lines so you can get involved in the conversation and express your comments and your opinion on what it all means to you and to your family. That's what we do every day. We can only do it with your help. So we ask you to dig in once again. Help keep us on the air here at Free Speech TV. If you can just do $10 a month, that's $120 a year. We'll send you a BP mug, a Bill Press Show mug, and a pound of coffee from our favorite coffee shop just downstairs in this building, Peregrine Coffee. For $20 a month, $240, you will get a very, very special gift indeed. One of the great cheeses from Cowgirl Creamery out on the West Coast, right near where we live in California, Point Reyes Station. And for $30 a month or $360 a year, if you can make that pledge, you'll get the mug and the Cowgirl Creamery. And then as a very, very special item to show you how much we appreciate your support, if you're in a position to pledge $1,000 to Free Speech TV, get yourself to Washington with a friend. Take the plane, take the train, take the bus, drive here, whatever. Carol and I will take you out to dinner the night before, and the next morning we'll invite you to join us in studio to meet the whole team here and to watch a special edition of the Bill Press Show. So with those incentives, hope that you will understand again and be inspired to do the right thing, particularly now at tax time, and take advantage of that this opportunity to get a little write-off on your taxes by helping Free Speech TV. So it's a twofer. You keep progressive television, Free Speech TV on the air, and you get the tax benefit as well. But again, no government money, no corporate money. Here at Free Speech TV, we depend on you. Thanks so much for your help.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Good morning. It is hour two of The Bill Press Show, hosted by me, Evan McMorris-Santoro, White House reporter for Buzzfeed.com. I'm happy to be here. Bill is off researching how great the Hawaii beaches are, and I'm here to fill in while he's over there. We have a great hour ahead of us. We are going to have a great conversation with Sabrina Siddiqui from the Huffington Post. We're going to talk to President of Enroll America, Ann Filipic, who is helping to push that final surge of Obamacare enrollment. I'm really excited about this interview. I'm really excited to bring this guy to you guys. And, of course, with me in the studio, Peter Ogburn.
Hey.
We've got Elisa Murphy.
Good morning.
We've got Alicia Cruz on the phones. And we've got Cyprian Bolding, of course, putting me on this internet TV that I'm on. We are on youtube.com/TawkrTV, TawkrTV, BillPressShow.com. Tweet us at BP Show and call us. Tell me about your bracket, how well it's doing, because mine's not doing well at all. Tell me about Edward Snowden, what you think about him. Tell me about Obama, what you think about him. Tell me about Congress, what you think about them. Tell me about Peter, what you think about Peter. And give us a call, 866-55-PRESS. We got a lot of stuff. So let's move right ahead into Sabrina, if we can. Sabrina Siddiqui, are you there? I understand that you're a little under the weather this morning. How are you feeling?
I'm doing okay. I'm trying to make it work so I can join your special show today.
Can you tell us what is wrong with you?
I have some kind of throat infection, and I contemplated coming in just so I could spread my germs to Peter, but then I decided that'd be a little bit mean.
Thank you for not doing that.
He has 2 kids and everything. I bet he has enough germs in his house.
I was actually, I kid you not, I was like half an hour late to work this morning because I was up all night with a kid who had a throat thing. So I think that you gave it to him somehow. So thank you for that.
Do you feel like this?
Blame him. Did your kid give it to me?
Maybe.
Do you feel like this qualifies as a pre-existing condition, Sabrina?
I luckily have employer-sponsored health care, so I don't have to worry.
Very nice, very nice. So, and how is your NCAA bracket? Do you have one?
I have none because I know absolutely nothing about college basketball.
Oh, well, okay. Well, it's probably doing better than mine then. Having none is doing better than I'm doing.
Yeah, and by the way, since when does not knowing anything about college basketball stop anyone from doing a bracket?
This is true. I actually usually fill one out, but I was late for our office bracket this year, so I was shut out of the group. And it's actually kind of sad because you feel like you're missing out when everyone's really excited and pretending they know anything about sports in the office.
Huffington Post knows nothing about sports. Breaking news.
Bill knows the least about sports of anybody on the show, and he's winning the bracket.
But you got to let the boss win.
I know.
This is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So listen, Sabrina, we have you, and we appreciate we have you with your, playing hurt as it is, as it were, which is something that happens in sports. You probably don't know, but people play hurt sometimes, and they're heroes. And you are a hero. You're actually a hero, and I'm happy to have you on. And
thank you.
We just talked with Christina Bellantoni from Roll Call in the last hour about something that was going on in Congress with Obama in Congress with the Ukraine aid bill and Obama making tweaks to it. I want to talk to you about another potential Obama and Congress place where maybe they could come together. Maybe they might have some controversy. This NSA changes stuff. This tweaks to how the National Security Agency does its business that Obama has proposed in the wake of the Edward Snowden revelations, in the wake of the public outcry about the Edward Snowden revelations. Obama has proposed making some sweeping changes to how the NSA does its job. I'm hoping you can tell me first, sort of what Obama has proposed, and then we can talk a bit about what those proposals, what chances they have in Congress.
Sure. Well, the president's proposal is certainly more far-reaching than people expected. He initially had suggested earlier this year that instead of the government, that a third-party entity collect the phone records. That's actually something that's changed. The government would still be the primary keeper of the records, but instead of holding on to them for 5 years, which is what the government currently does, the records would be kept for 18 months. So they would shorten that, and then they also want to change the sort of authorization of collecting the records. So the administration is proposing that FISA court, that there be individual requests to the FISA court every time the government wants to obtain specific records. So that changes just sort of a sweeping approval where the FISA court authorizes a bulk collection and transitions it to more individual cases. That's something that Congress, especially the more hawkish members of Congress, would not be particularly favorable to. In fact, Senator Dianne Feinstein, who's the chair of the Intelligence Committee, she immediately off the bat came out with a statement saying that the programs should not be changed, that this is a reactive proposal just because there's public outrage, and that's not sort of an appropriate interpretation of what the program does in terms of national security.
Okay, that's interesting. We actually have a little bit of audio, I think, on how this is playing in Congress. We got that Mike Rogers clip. We're going to play that. We're going to play that now.
What we will ban under Section 215 is the use of FISA to collect bulk electronic communication records, email metadata, and internet metadata. The use of FISA to collect bulk sensitive personal records, library records, firearm sales records, tax return records, etc.
So that's Republican Mike Rogers talking about some reforms to the 215 program that Republicans are in favor of. Is that sort of much different than what Obama is proposing?
Well, Mike Rogers has come out with, and Mike Rogers is, of course, the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, and along with the ranking Democratic member, Congressman Rumpelsberger, they have a dueling proposal, and their proposal does not go as far as Obama's. So it would still actually allow the FISA court to just authorize the bulk collection. In fact, they're saying that the court order could even be done retroactively. And what they would want to do is still have the phone records collected, but if it is found that an individual does not have any link to terrorism, then those phone records could be purged after the fact. So it's sort of, coming up with a way to say if a number is not suspect after all, then we no longer have to hold on to those records. But they still want to keep in place the core of the program. Both proposals are interesting. One doesn't go far enough, maybe in the eyes of the Rand Pauls and Jeff Merkleys of the world, in terms of Obama, in terms of the House proposal. And then in the case of Obama, perhaps it goes too far for some of the more old school Republicans, as well as even a few Democrats. Like I said, Dianne Feinstein was not a fan of it. I'm not sure if Harry Reid even thinks he'd be able to push something like that through his chamber. So, I think that we are setting up for a major debate, though. Edward Snowden called this a turning point.
Yeah.
Because this is the first real legislative response that you're seeing, where both the administration and Congress are saying, okay, whatever happens, we have to deal with this now, because the public certainly is increasingly unfavorable toward the programs. And really, internationally, it's embarrassed the country a great deal.
Yeah, I mean, so do you feel like something? I mean, this is all, of course, across the backdrop of 2014 coming up, and obviously Obama getting some changes to this would be, I think, something he would call a legislative win, and could maybe energize some of that Democratic base that strategists and sort of political observers are worried are not going to show up for the Democrats in November. Do you feel like electoral politics will keep this from actually happening in Congress, or is there enough pressure that we're going to see some kind of action, do you think, in Congress on the NSA now that Obama has said he's ready to do some reform?
Well, that's actually an interesting point, because there hasn't been an indication yet as to how much this will play out in the midterms. Certainly in 2016, it could be a major point of debate. You know, Rand Paul has made civil liberties his primary platform. He's constantly talking about the NSA and all of these major speeches that he's been giving at CPAC at Berkeley. So I don't know if the pressure is there to make this happen this year, and people are skeptical that Congress, which basically has said after Ukraine it's done for the year, that they're going to feel any urgency to do this right now. If they've waited, they waited since last June when Edward Snowden made the revelation. So there's no reason they may not wait a little more. Section 215 also doesn't expire until 2015.
Right.
So they do have that leeway to say, well, we're going to deal with it when we have to revisit Section 215 and determine whether or not we're going to reauthorize it in its current form, or make some changes, or get rid of it altogether. Of course, the latter being the least likely scenario.
Right. I love that. This is my favorite thing about Congress. They're like, the guys, we've worked almost till April, and we've only taken 5 weeks off in that time.
Yeah.
Of course we're done for the rest of the year. What are you, crazy?
Yeah,
We've had to be at work almost 15 days. Or whatever.
I mean, it's only a matter of time before you have a few Republicans say that Obama is just trying to distract from Obamacare. That's the only reason he came out with this NSA proposal in the first place.
Right. Well, this is
I'm counting down until someone says that.
Well, this is what's fascinating about this is that you're talking about actually Obama has actually shifted positions so much on this, from being a guy who was really defending the program and standing against Snowden to a guy who is now taking on the congressional intelligence establishment. I mean, these guys like Feinstein, or these senators like Feinstein, and you talk about Rogers and Ruppersberger. This is the intelligence establishment in Congress, and now Obama has suddenly sort of cast himself as someone more to the Snowden end of things than they are. I mean, that's a pretty stunning turnaround, don't you think?
It is, and part of it is because of his own the sort of I think image that he had created of himself as a candidate and as a defender of civil liberties. So the sort of paradox that people saw when these programs were revealed, and part of it is just simply by force, because there's been a drip to these revelations, and they have not gone away. They have continued to be a major, I think, thorn for this administration, because, like I said earlier, the one thing that this administration did was sort of rebuild the international standing of the United States. Obama had restored, I think, a lot of relationships with allies who had been skeptical after an entire decade of 2 wars. And then you have the sort of news that the NSA was collecting records or spying on German Chancellor Angela Merkel at one point in time, that there were potential other European allies who were also being surveilled, and it was incredibly embarrassing for the administration, because they have very strong relationship with some of these countries, and that it's actually something that is played out internationally. It's something that they've covered, I think, even more than the media here has, because to them it's like the United States, which is always the front and center, saying everyone should protect their citizens' civil liberties. They're the ones who are out there now.
Yep. Well, Sabrina, you have worked out your throat quite a bit for us today. We appreciate it. I'll tell you what my mom told me to do: get some tea, put some honey in it. I would say put some whiskey in it too. But good luck. Rest up those vocal cords, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Sabrina.
Thanks. You're doing a great job. Nice to talk to you.
Sabrina Siddiqui from the Huffington Post. I'm Evan McMorris-Santoro. It's the Bill Press Show. We will be back momentarily.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, friends and neighbors, we'll get back to the news of the day in just a moment here. But first, I got a couple of questions for you. First one, are you enjoying Free Speech TV? Well, I know the answer to that one. If you weren't, you wouldn't keep watching. We appreciate that. Good to have you with us. And the second question is, since you enjoy Free Speech TV so much, have you done your share to keep us on the air? Have you made your pledge? If so, we thank you, because so many of you have. But if not, let's get on it. Do it today. It is so important. Look, again, I don't have to tell you how special Free Speech TV is. I'm very, very proud to be part of it. Less than a year right now. But it's the only place you can find such great hosts, Tom Hartman, Stephanie Miller, Amy Goodman. I hope I'm one of them. And it's all content-free, no commercials, the only truly independent and progressive cable channel that is out there. You won't find it anywhere else. But the thing is, we depend on you. That's the only way we can stay on the air. We get no corporate money, no government money, no sponsor money, right? It is all from our viewers that keep us going. So we ask you to give us a call today, 877-378-8669, or you can go to freespeech.org and make your pledge. And as a little reward for making your pledge, if you can do us this $10 a month, $120, we'll send you a Bill Press Show mug. You can have your coffee with us every day, and a pound of coffee from Washington's favorite little coffee shop, which is right downstairs in our building. It's called Peregrine Coffee. If you can afford $20 a month, $240 pledge, you will get a very, very special treat from one of my favorite little businesses out in West Marin, California, West Marin County, from Cowgirl Creamery, a selection of their best cheeses. I think they're the best cheeses on the planet, and I've lived in Switzerland, so I know. Cowgirl Creamery for $240. For $360 or $30 a month, we'll send you the Cowgirl Creamery and a mug. And here's something very, very special. If you can do it and you can afford $1,000 for Free Speech TV, then make your way to Washington as a little special treat. I'll take you out to dinner with Carol, and we'll invite you and a guest in to watch the show the next morning here in our studio in downtown Washington, D.C. So those are just our ways of saying thank you ahead of time to you. Please do it. Please consider it today. And again, the number to call is 877-378-8669, or you can go to freespeech.org. We love bringing the show to you every morning, love being with you every day, and ask you to be with us by making your pledge as soon as you can and as generously as you can. Thank you so much.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Good morning. It's the Bill Press Show. We're back. I'm Evan McMorris-Santoro, filling in for Bill Press. We have got a great guest on the line right now. We've got Ann Filipic, the president of Enroll America. She's former Obama administration official, now sort of one of the big names trying to make sure that the enrollment numbers are hit as we reach the final few days until the March 31st deadline. Although, of course, things are a little bit different now than they were. Ann, are you with us?
I am. Hi, Evan.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great.
Well, we don't have a lot of time with you. I know you're really busy, trying to actually get people to enroll in Obamacare, so you don't need to talk a lot about talk with us for too long. I want to ask you a bit, if I could, about this new. This sort of new deadline, new change in how enrollment is working. I understand that they've so we've extended the deadline kind of until mid-April. Is that basically what happened?
Well, it's not quite as simple as that.
Okay.
I think the deadline remains March 31st, and that's what we're going to continue to tell consumers about. What we heard from there's a Washington Post story last night, which really provides a little more detail for something that Jay Carney said, the White House press secretary said a week or so ago. And that is that they want to make sure that anyone that is in line by March 31st and attempted to enroll has the opportunity to do so. So I think it's really important that as anyone that's working on this issue or anyone that is listening that's uninsured or knows someone that's uninsured, that we continue to talk to people and make sure they begin the process and attempt to complete the process by March 31st. And I think for the vast majority of people, they're going to be able to do that. But we just want to make sure that that no one's in a situation where, by no fault of their own, they're unable to complete it.
Now, of course, when it says in line, the way this new process is going to work, the big criticism of it that was on, at least in my Twitter feed last night, was this honor system idea. The idea that you're able to sort of sign up, click a box, and say, look, after March 31st, you can go on, click a box, and say, look, I tried to do it before, but I wasn't able to, and no one's going to check on that. That criticism, I guess people are saying that sort of is a de facto extension. Do you feel like that undermines anything? I mean, why do you think that people are critical of that idea, and do you think that those criticisms are valid? The idea that basically this is an extension by any other name because of this honor system idea, and that sort of undermines the case that the Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act rollout has worked well.
Well, I think, look, we still have a lot of information yet to get from the administration in terms of exactly the specifics of what this is going to look like. There was some information in a Washington Post story, but I think we're all waiting for a little bit more clarity on that front. I think the spirit of this, though, is really that they want to make sure that no one's in a situation where, they started the process and they tried to complete it and they couldn't, and so now they're uninsured. Because the goal of this is to get as many people covered as possible. And I'll tell you that when we're out there doing our work with the Get Covered America campaign, talking to folks, that a lot of people really want insurance and they want to complete the process. And there's a ton going on out there, and we are seeing numbers surge in the final months. So I think we're making a ton of progress. I think the spirit here is we just want to make sure that everyone that began the process can complete it. And what we're focused on at Enroll America is making sure we're going to continue to talk about that March 31st deadline and make sure people are aware of that.
So now your group is interesting because your group sort of brings together, you have some people from the nonprofit world, you have people from some of the labor world, you have some insurance company people, you have some corporate people. It's sort of the crux of how Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act is supposed to work. That sort of everyone's supposed to sort of come together and help this law come out. It's supposed to be good for insurers, good for Americans, good for people who want to see more people get insurance. I wonder, since you're in the place where sort of a lot of this all seems to work out. You guys all seem to sort of get along well and do this enrollment stuff. Why do you think politics on this remain so divided? I mean, what is the reason why we can't seem to sort of break that 50% don't like it, 50% like it thing?
Well, it's a great question, and I'll tell you that I think in some ways it really defines logic, because when you're talking to the folks that are working on this issue, whether it is, as you say, insurers, nonprofit organizations, hospitals, community health centers, local, mayors and elected officials and leaders, there is so much interest in serving consumers and getting them the information that they need.
Okay, sorry, I'm sorry, Ann. I got to cut you off. Hard deadline. Thanks a lot, though. Thanks for coming on.
This
Thank you.
is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, friends, just a little break here and time out to tell you about something very, very important. It's that time again when we turn to you and ask for your help, because we wouldn't be here without you. It's so funny. Everywhere I go, people always say, man, you got 3 hours to fill every morning. How do you do it? How do you keep up with all of it? Well, let me tell you, we work hard at it. I mean, we start at the end of every show. First thing we do, we just sit right down and start planning the next day's show and get a rough outline kind of where we want to go and what guests we might want to have and what we think the big issues are going to be. And then we go out and all day long, we're watching the news, reading the news, looking at the websites, following everything. I'm down at the White House every day at the briefings and keeping on top of things down there. And then we, meantime, Peter and Elisa particularly are on the phone, booking our guests for the next day. We reconvene in a conference call at 5 o'clock every afternoon and find out what guests we've got and where we think we're going to go the next day in terms of issues and things we want to talk about. We're also watching that evening, and then the next morning before every show, we reconvene again and sit down and put it finally together. And then we're on the air. So, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but we love doing it, and we couldn't do it without you. That's the important thing, because Free Speech TV, no corporate money, no government money. It is all viewer contributions. We work only for you and depend on you and ask you to help us once again as generously as you can. And there's a little incentive to do so. You can go to freespeech.org, make your contribution, freespeech.org. If you can give us $120, that's $10 a month. We will send you a mug, a Bill Press mug, and a pound of coffee from Peregrine Coffee, our favorite coffee shop downstairs in this building, for $240 or $20 a month. From Cowgirl Creamery, the best cheese in the world, believe me, made in California, close to our home in California. A special package from Cowgirl Creamery. For $360 or $30 a month, you'll get the Cowgirl Creamery selection and a Bill Press mug as well. And a very special treat for those of you able to do so and willing to pledge $1,000 of Free Speech TV. You make your way to Washington anytime with a guest. I will take you and your guest out to dinner, some fabulous restaurant in Washington, and invite you in to watch the show the next morning. So I know you're part of the free speech community, or else you wouldn't be watching this morning. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your help in the past. And now please ask you to dig in again. You know how important it is. I know how much you depend on the independent expression of progressive opinion you only get on Free Speech TV. Now's the time to help again, and thank you.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Good morning. It is The Bill Press Show. Once again, I am Evan McMorris-Santoro, White House reporter for Buzzfeed.com, guest hosting for Bill Press. I've not mentioned my Twitter handle all day. I've been very careful not to mention it. Now I'm going to mention it. I'm going to mention it now.
Go ahead, you can.
Because you can't throw me off now. We're an hour and a half in.
Yeah.
I am at Evan McSan, at EvanMcSan. That's the way I try to truncate my gigantic long name. Evan McSan, tweet at me, tell me how great I'm doing, because I really am pretty much killing it, I think. We're going to move right along. I want to thank Ann Filipic from Enroll America for coming on. It was a short segment, and she really, got up early to talk to us, and I thought it was a pretty good interview, and I appreciate it, and we had to cut her off a bit at the end, but good stuff, and check her out on Twitter. I put her Twitter handle in my feed, Evan McSan. Follow her, find out what's going on with Obamacare. We got 5 more days to go. Moving along, we're going to talk to a great personal friend of mine, a guy I really like talking to, and haven't had a chance to talk to as much since I've been at the White House, but just a great guy. Ford O'Connell, he's a Republican strategist. He has done basically it all in Republican politics. He's actually literally written the book about it, I would say. So, Ford, are you on the line? Are you with us?
I'm with you, Evan. I have to say, my friend, thank you for having me on. You're certainly killing it, and you got my vote, my man.
That's good. That's one. That's one. All right, man. Well, it's good to talk to you, and thanks for getting up early with us. And I just want to, let's sort of First of all, let me ask you, because you're a bit of a college sports person. So let me ask you a bit. How is your bracket doing? Are you doing all right on this NCAA bracket? Mine is like literally the worst bracket that's ever been put up as a bracket. Like I'm dying on this NCAA. How are you doing?
I'd love to be able to lie to you. My bracket looks like Swiss cheese. The only thing I got alive is the Final Four in one of my alma maters, UVA.
Oh man! So you're not going to be a billionaire off the bracket this year.
Well, I'll say this, though. My bracket's doing better than that Mitch McConnell flop ad showing Duke. So, yeah, my bracket's doing a little bit better than Mitch McConnell's video.
Yeah, that is, I got to say, that might be the worst gaffe I've ever heard of in terms of a basketball, like a sports mistake. It's one thing, like Obama went out there to Pennsylvania that time, bowled horribly. It was pretty embarrassing, but it's not as bad as being a Kentucky fan and putting Duke in your campaign ad.
Well, that's because in the Bluegrass State, the Wildcats are God's team, and he's someone who went to Louisville and Kentucky, and he should know better. I mean, Duke is the spawn of Satan as far as people in Kentucky are concerned. Why? Because Christian Laettner hit a little shot. Granted, I am a Duke alum, so I understand the whole point.
He didn't just hit a shot. He stepped on a guy. Christian Laettner is awful. What are you talking about? Don't come on this show and praise Christian Laettner. Cut his mic. This is it. That's the end of this. This is over. That's the end. All right, man. Well, listen. Let's move on from that horrible gaffe you just made into talking a bit about some of the politics that are going on. You mentioned Mitch McConnell, of course, had his own thing. We had another gaffe yesterday from a Democrat. Let's talk a bit about this. This Bruce Braley thing. You want to talk a bit about that? Let's play the audio. Bruce Braley. He is a Democrat. Trying to run for the open seat being vacated by Tom Harkin in Iowa. He was speaking, I think, to a Texas group of lawyers and kind of said something bad about the existing senator from Iowa, Chuck Grassley. Let's play it.
If you help me win this race, you may have someone with your background, your experience, your voice, someone who's been literally fighting tort reform for 30 years in a visible and public way on the Senate Judiciary Committee. Or you might have a farmer from Iowa who never went to law school, never practiced law, serving as the next chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Because if Democrats lose the majority, Chuck Grassley will be the next chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee.
All right, so you've got a Democrat standing in a room next to bottles and bottles of liquor, talking on a hidden camera about how much he loves trial lawyers and calling Chuck Grassley essentially a dumb farmer. If you are a Republican, is that basically like Christmas Day for you? Like, is that as good as it ever gets in terms of one of these hidden videos?
Christmas Day, the 4th of July, and the U.S. Men's ice hockey team winning the gold medal all in one. I mean, it really has the potential in Iowa to be akin to basically Romney's 47% mistake. Here you knock an icon, Chuck Grassley. You basically sound like an elitist talking down to Americans' family farmers, and basically you look grating to the Iowa public. Now, the question is whether or not the Republicans drive that home, because essentially this was a vulnerable pickup seat potentially for Republicans. Obviously, Braley's the favorite, and right now the Republican field hasn't sorted itself out, so this couldn't have come at a worse time for Braley.
And this is the kind of thing, Braley, basically every seat this year is the kind of seat that could be the make or break for Democrats in terms of keeping the Senate. So Braley, I guess we have to watch all these things pretty closely, right? This is the kind of thing that could make Mitch McConnell, assuming he wins, the Duke fan / majority leader of the United States Senate, right?
Well, you're absolutely right, but let's be honest, Evan. Most people haven't been around the country on the campaign trail like you and I have, or we've been to every single Bob Evans outhouse, doghouse from here to Yakima, Washington. People do not realize in Iowa the point and the value of agriculture and family farmers. You've really actually put down a slur, and yes, it very well could be the make or break seat, and this is something that Republicans are going to have to harness. Now, the question of whether or not they're able to do it is a totally different point.
Right, and that's a good segue, because we've just talked about a Democratic stumble. Let's talk a bit about some of the things the Republicans have been doing, and they're trying to sort of how they're trying to grow their party. You wrote this book, Hail Mary, the 10-Step Playbook for Republican Recovery. It is on Amazon. It's a good book. It's cheap. You're not really charging that much for it. People should buy it. They should read it. I'll put a link to the Amazon link on my Twitter feed once we're done talking here. One of the things that you talk about, so you talk a lot about what the Republicans need to do to sort of move ahead into this new political reality that they're in right now, which they still struggle a lot in terms of growing their party base and expanding their electorate as the country grows and the country changes. And one of the things that you mentioned, I think, is this that always gets a lot of people talking, is this thing you say about Reagan is dead. The Republicans need to understand that Reagan is dead. Can you tell us a bit about that and what you mean by that? And let's talk a bit about what the response has been to that stuff.
Well, the response, let me start with the response. It's not been pretty. I've been called a heretic, everything under the sun. You'd hate to see the hate mail on that one. But the point is the following, and that is over the last two presidential cycles, a disturbing trend has emerged in GOP presidential primaries, and I refer to as obsessive Reagan disorder. It's the insistence that any presidential candidate on the Republican side be the idealistic and stylistic twin, and essentially a battle royal breaks out among the candidates vying for the Republican presidential nomination over who is more like Reagan. And unfortunately, it becomes a real problem because when you create a myth of a flawless Reagan, there's no way any other Republican can compare. And as such, every Republican starts saying, well, I'm a more Reagan guy than the other guy or the gal. And unfortunately, it makes you look pathetically out of touch because half of the voters that you need in the tent weren't even alive when Reagan was in the saddle in the White House. And essentially, it becomes a crutch for your inability to articulate a 21st century vision moving forward.
Right. And so what do you think, what should people say? I mean, you're making this is a big deal to say that, the GOP should stop talking as much about sort of Saint Reagan. What should they be saying instead? What's the thing that if you're a candidate out there, what should you be saying instead of saying, I'm going to be the second coming of Reagan?
Well, instead of using Reagan as a crutch, what you need to be out there doing is putting forth a positive message, projecting yourself as a problem solver and expanding the tent of voters. That was really the Reagan playbook. That's what everyone misses. And that's how Reagan was able to go from basically hawking GE products to the California governor's mansion onto the presidency. And that's what everyone's missing is the playbook is great, but Reagan is in the past. Reagan would never want you to look in the past for the key to success. You've got to be looking forward. And unfortunately, the Republican Party just gets stuck in the past, and it does not really tell people how it's going to take the nation forward. And if you want to win the White House, this is what my book's about.
Right. Now, you talk a bit about expanding the base. I mean, this is obviously a big deal for Republicans. We've recently come up on the anniversary of that RNC autopsy project where they went through their loss in 2012, and they talked a bit about trying to expand the base with Hispanics, women, young people, all of which polls have shown they haven't done much with. What do you think is the result of that project, and what do you think that they need to do, and can they do to expand that base?
Wow, you want me to actually win a Nobel Prize here all in 1 second. Let me say the following, and let me put up my PSA first. I do commend the RNC, Priebus, Ari Fleischer, and the crew for putting that out there. I think that overall they targeted the right problems, and I believe their heart's in the right place, and it mirrors with a lot of what I say in the book. That said, though, the problem here is we need to expand the tent if we want to win. And one of the things that's hurting us with respect to expanding the tent, particularly with bringing in Hispanics, blacks, young voters, etc., is redistricting has been a real problem for the Republicans. And that is over the last 10 years, as America has become 5% less white, the GOP House districts have become 2% more white. So they do not see the need to reach out beyond the backs of middle-class white voters, and that's a real problem. But something else is, while everyone's hammering the RNC, what they need to understand is in this day and age, political parties do not have the same sway over their party as they did back basically in 1976, which is when voters first became eligible to actually pick who their party nominees were versus the party. And because the party does not have the sway, it's very hard to make a lot of this work. And frankly, what they were talking about is what I'm talking about in my book, which is why I've gotten a lot of hate mail, is this is how to win the White House. The next generic, Democratic nominee is going to have 247 electoral votes. coming out of the shooting. If the Republican nominee can't win Ohio, Florida, Virginia, and Colorado, guess what? Hillary Clinton's going to walk right back in the front door.
Well, I feel like there might be some need for maybe some policy changes we haven't seen much talk of yet for that to happen.
Well, let me say that's true, but one thing that I have noticed very carefully is that the party is getting a lot better at understanding in this YouTube era. A GIF of your gaffe is more damaging to your campaign than any perfectly articulated policy position can help. So I've seen a great improvement with respect to tone and rhetoric, particularly in this YouTube era. I think they've done a better job with Get Out the Vote. They're trying to, bring the closer digital divide, but clearly if the Democrats get shellacked in 2014, that's going to open a greater divide because the Democrats are going to invest more in it.
Well, that is a controversial statement for the rhetoric is improving on the Republican Party side. Thank you so much, Ford, for coming on. That was really, really great. And, I was going to ask you next year for your predictions on the NCAAs, but it sounds like you're as bad as I am. So,
well, I think the Florida Gators are going to win this year.
All right. You heard it here first. Thanks a lot, Ford. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Evan.
Ford O'Connell, Republican strategist. Hail Mary. Buy his book. I'll put the link up. Bill Press Show. I'm Evan McMorris-Santoro. We will be coming right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey friends, lots to talk about today, lots going on, and we'll get right back to the news of the day and our Bill Press Show this morning in just a second. But first, I want to take a little time out once again to ask for your help for all of us here at Free Speech TV. I don't have to tell you how much, I've told you before, how much we love being with you first thing in the morning, bring you the news of the day. We love the fact that you're with us, but we wouldn't be here without you, and we really do need your help. That's what makes the difference on Free Speech TV. We don't get any corporate money. We don't get any government funding. All of our, we don't get any commercial funding. All of our money, all of our revenue for Free Speech TV comes from you, our viewers. I know you appreciate Free Speech TV. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching. You know that you get here totally unfettered, totally independent, just right, straight news of the day with good progressive commentary all day long from me and from Tom Hartman and Stephanie Miller and Amy Goodman, all of our good friends at Free Speech TV. Well, we wouldn't be here without you. It's just as simple as that. You've been very generous in the past. We're very excited that so many of you already this pledge drive have stepped up to the plate. We thank you for that, and if you haven't already done so, encourage you to make that big call today to 877-378-8669 and make your pledge. Be as generous as you can to Free Speech TV, just to keep this independent, the one single progressive television network on the air, and that is Free Speech TV. And encourage you to do so. Very, very excited to be able to offer you. If you could just give us $10 a pledge, $10 a month, that's $120 a year. You get a Bill Press Show mug and a pound of coffee from our favorite coffee shop downstairs here in our building. If you can up that to $20 a month and a pledge of $240, which we thank you, you'll love the cheese from Cowgirl Creamery. It comes from a part of Marin County where we live in California. I think it's the best cheese in the entire world. We'll send you a selection of Cowgirl Creamery. And for $360 or $30 a month, you get the Cowgirl Creamery, Cowgirl cheese selection, and the Bill Press mug. That's $30 a month or $360. And then, very, very special, and some of you have signed up for this already, if you can afford to help Free Speech with $1,000 and make your way to Washington, D.C., here's what. We will take you out to dinner at one of our favorite restaurants in Washington and invite you to come here the next morning in studio with us to see the show. That'll be a great deal of fun. Hope you'll take advantage of that. Again, the number to make your pledge is 877-378-8669. We depend on you. Please be as generous as you can. Thank you.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
We are trucking right along at the Bill Press Show. I am Evan McMorris-Santoro, White House reporter for Buzzfeed, filling in for Bill. We just talked a bit with Ford O'Connell about the Bruce Braley sort of gaffe of the week, talking to trial lawyers in Texas. Peter, now, Bruce Braley is apparently, he's a friend of the show.
He's a friend of the show.
He's been on the show a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And I understand he's been on before. He was on before talking about the gym or something, the Senate gym, congressional gym.
Yeah, so it was back in October. We've had him on a couple times. We haven't had him on since this most recent time.
No.
He was on back in October, and it was during the government shutdown. And you remember one of the things that came out of that was that the gym for members of Congress remained open during the government shutdown. And so Bill, when he was here, asked Congressman Braley about the gym and whether or not it should remain open
during the shutdown.
This
caused a lot. Okay, so let's hear what Bruce Braley had to say about that back then. Flashback.
They must not have been down to the gym lately. There's hardly anybody working down there. There's no towel service.
No towels.
No, and so we're doing our own laundry down there.
Seriously,
and we pay a fee to belong to the house gym. So this is no different than if you're working at an employer that offers a wellness program. You pay a fee to belong. That's what we do there.
So the other voice in there, by the way, was Lynn Sweet, who was sitting in
Chicago Sun-Times.
And so he had this long and frankly tortured explanation of, well, a lot of business gets done in the gym, and we have a lot of, it's common ground for all of the members, right? There are no TV cameras.
Right.
No one's putting on a show. It's a friendly area. And so, heck, that has to remain open. I mean, we pay.
Yeah, to me, the part that was most controversial was when they asked, what about all the federal employees that aren't getting paid? He said, well, I suggest they eat cake. Yeah. I thought that was weird. Yeah. I thought that was a strange way of talking about the gym. But so that gym closure thing. So Braley, he's maybe not exactly the best when he's off on it, when he's just off on his own.
Okay.
But the gym thing was controversial.
It was.
And it was part of the whole shutdown thing. A lot of the shutdown stuff happened in terms of people got paid. Members of Congress got paid because they can't not get paid. Some of them voluntarily gave up a lot of their salaries to give to charities, or there are people who work for them.
Yeah.
So the intricacies of Washington are strange in that it's not possible to really cut off all the money to people who are in Congress, because that would be kind of a weird thing to be able to do constitutionally.
Right.
So stuff like the gym is, remained open.
I'll say this about Braley.
Yeah.
He certainly came in loose and certainly talked off the cuff.
Right after a workout, just loose. He just
loose. He was a limber man. He was a very limber man.
He brought his own towel.
I mean, there are a lot of people who come in very guarded and they're very careful about what they say. Braley was not one of those guys. He was very off the cuff.
And I think that is a valuable skill to have in an interview situation.
Yes.
I mean, I think it is. I mean, look, as a reporter, I much prefer people to be like that.
Yeah.
The issue with this video that he got caught with in Iowa, or in Texas, is that it fits basically every stereotype that, of a behind the scenes sort of situation. And that's the kind of thing where maybe you want to be a bit more guarded. Maybe you don't say, and the camera appears to be right there in his face. I mean, I tried to talk to the people, America Rising, which is the new Republican opposition research firm that posted this video. The camera is so close to Braley's face. People were asking me, I got emails yesterday. They were like, how did they get this video like this? You think it was someone was wearing Google Glass or something?
Oh, geez.
And so I asked Tim Miller, who is the big head honcho over there at America Rising and a good guy you should have on the show. And I said, so how did you get so close to Bruce Braley with this video? Because 47% was from far away. This was right in Braley's face. He said magic. So we're not. So it's.
I think that's Google Glass.
It's a big secret. I gotta say, if someone is wearing Google Glass in front of your face, you're gonna notice it.
Yeah.
I think it was something else.
Yeah.
Anyway, I am not wearing Google Glass.
I will never wear
Google Glass.
Not gonna happen.
That's right. So this is the Google Glass Free Bill Press Show. I'm Evan McMorris-Santoro. We will be back next hour for another great 60 minutes or whatever of radio. Come back with us at BP Show, 1-866-55-PRESS. Bill Press Show.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Bill Press Show. As the guy just told you, I'm Evan McMorris-Santoro, White House reporter for Buzzfeed.com. I'm back. Listen, I just gave you a great sort of like outro to the hour and coming into the next hour, but that's because I like to get ahead of the game.
Yeah.
I like to get ahead of the game. So,
forward thinker.
I just want to, we're going to talk, like, as I told you, we had a great hour that we just finished up with. We're going to have a great hour coming up next. Peter, what do you think? How's the show going so far?
I think it's wonderful. I'm glad you're here. I think it's certainly different than what we would normally be doing.
Wow.
But no, I think
it's certainly different.
No. It's a breath of fresh air. I mean, the fact that we had a Republican like Ford O'Connell on is great. I know that a lot of...
Well, just wait till who we have next hour. It's going to blow your mind. Bill Press Show. We're going to come back at the hour. Hang out with us. Stay on. At BP Show is our Twitter handle. I'm Evan McMorris-Santoro. Bill Press Show. Coming back. Final hour. Next.
This is the Bill Press Show.
I'm a Pistons fan. Their slogan was, "We come to work." That's what Detroit about. That's why they used it. It's a team thing. They won 2 championships, a team. There was no star. No mayor can come in here and be a star. It's a team thing. No governors can come in here and think you can do it by yourself. It's a team thing. You got communities. They got ideas too. The only thing wrong with Detroit, people have lost hope here. Residents, city workers, so much corruption. They lose hope. But I grew up here. I love this city. I think it can come back. I've been working for the city 24 and a half years. Within the last 10 years, we took 4 pay cuts and then an additional 10% wage cut. I've lost a home.
When you take all of the decisions out of the city of Detroit, all of us, then what do you have? Exactly what we got. A lot of problems. Every time the city seems to fall into a problem, it's always on the backs of us workers.
You wake up out of a dead sleep and you jump behind the wheel and take off driving and try to get everybody there safe, not knowing really what you're pulling up if you're not eligible for Social Security. So the pension is my sole salary at this point.
We've been in business here 39 years. We've seen a lot of changes in Detroit. The area was a lot of industry, a lot of city workers. It's getting very tough for the city workers. It's getting tough for us as a business people.
Response times are increasing because of the closing of companies, which takes your insurance rate through the roof. So all the things that affect us affect the citizens.
I worked for the city in different capacities for 29 years. I feel like an old jacket. They use me up and they throw me away. In my condition, nobody's gonna hire me. I'm 68 years old. Half the times, I can't get my blood pressure medicine. It's either feeding myself blood pressure or paying bills.
$754. By the time they take all the deductions for I have my car insurance, my house insurance, and my health insurance taken out. So the time they take all that, I'll get about $300 after they take all that out. I don't understand it. I can't see how the governor's allowing this to happen and what they're doing and they want to blame it all on the seniors. Not only the seniors, but the city workers. And we worked hard. I know I worked hard.
I've been in Detroit since 1946. I was 14 years old when I came in. I don't live large at all. I wish I could. I don't know when the last time I've been shopping. I only get $1,100 and I'm 81 years old. And I need every penny that I can get and that I do get. And I'm very, very upset about the idea of them taking away my pensions that I worked 30 years for.
I think it's terrible that they talk about Detroit like they do, because Detroit has been very good to me.
I have a lot of city workers coming in with their uniforms on, Detroit Water Department, Police Department, Fire Department. I get a lot of people, the Border Patrol come in. So if I lose that customer base, I'm going to be in a position where I might have to close down. If they take away their pensions, if they start cutting jobs, it's going to cut into a large percentage of not only our business, but other businesses that are in the city of Detroit. We're here. We've been here for 26 years. We're still trying to do business in the city.
Detroiters are survivors. They tough, they adapt, but only can do so much when your politicians are ahead of you and we're not on the same team. We're not gonna let Detroit be erased, bulldozed to where we're gonna fight to the bitter end. Detroit gonna survive.
For more than 18 months, the members of AFSCME 3299 have been working to secure a new contract with the University of California. With workplace injuries at UC skyrocketing and government fines related to safety deficiencies at UC hospitals skyrocketing, Local 3299's top priority has been safe staffing at the workplace.
We've been short of people for the last 5 years.
They're stretching us thin, which the students are suffering, the faculty suffering, and the patients are suffering.
While UC administrators have granted these standards to other UC workers, they have refused to make similar accommodations for AFSCME represented workers who perform the most physically demanding labor at UC.
It takes a whole team to take care of the patient. It's not just the RN and it's not just the doctor. The nurses were able to win a great contract, and AFSCME workers, the patient care workers and service workers, they're part of the team and they deserve that same fair contract too.
We take pride into working for the university, and we feel like the university doesn't value the work that we do.
But the second-class treatment of AFSCME workers doesn't end at safety and staffing. On wages, benefits, and other issues, UC refuses to offer AFSCME 3299 members the same respect they afford their other workers.
I have 3 jobs because what the university pays me is just not enough to make a living for my family and myself.
99% of service workers in the UC system make so little money that they're eligible for at least some form of public assistance. At the same time, the number of executives in the UC system that have crossed over into making at least $250,000 a year has more than doubled since 2008.
The University of California has long been a beacon of hope and progress for those struggling for dignity and fairness. With such a proud history, it is disturbing to see the leadership of the university treat its lowest paid workers like second-class citizens.
All workers at the university deserve equal treatment.
And online, this is the Bill Press Show.
It is the Bill Press Show. I'm Evan McMorris-Santoro, White House reporter for Buzzfeed.com, filling in for Bill. Hour 3. We have made it to hour 3. I'm still on the air. At least I think I am. I don't know. There's no way to really check, I guess.
You're on.
Okay, I'm on. All right, let's do it. You know, they're great, and I'm on thanks to the great people here at the Bill Press Show who have filled my desk with paperwork, given me audio to play, helped me through these hard breaks that I keep screwing up on. So we've got Peter Ogburn in the studio with me. We've got Elisa Murphy. She's the board operator.
Hello.
She's talked to us a lot about Sephora earlier today, gave us some good tips on that. Alicia Cruz is taking your calls. And we've got Cyprian Bolding doing all the videos. You can see this on youtube.com/TawkrTV, TAWKR-TV. TawkrTV. All right. Who we have in the studio with us, and I'm really excited about this, is Olivier Knox. He is the either chief Washington correspondent for Yahoo News. You've been a White House reporter for a long time. You've been covering this town for a long time. You are this town.
Hashtag I was going to say,
this town.
I knew there was going to be a bad payoff to this.
You are this town.
Yes, I'm old, Evan. You've established that. Move on.
You're fine. Olivier and I, when I'm at the White House, sit next to each other at the White House basement. He's one of the smartest and best reporters on the Washington beat that you will find, and you should follow him on Twitter at Oknox, OKNOX. I'll put it on my Twitter feed at Evan McSan. So let's, we're going to talk to Olivier about Obama's trip. We're going to talk about this new Secret Service scandal, but let's talk a bit.
I have a quick story I had to get out. You guys will both appreciate this. So the Washington Post has a profile on Ralph Hall, the oldest member of Congress. He's 90 years old. He's running for re-election in Texas. And so Ed O'Keefe in the Post has this great profile of Ralph Hall. Here's a little bit about who Ralph Hall is. He flew Hellcat fighter jets during World War II. He recalls meeting James Baker when he was an 83-year-old former Secretary of State. And then he recalls as a time when he was 12 years old working at a local pharmacy when he sold cigarettes to Bonnie and Clyde.
Whoa.
He's a member of Congress now. He says they came in, quote, they wanted a carton of Old Golds, 2 Coca-Colas, and all the newspapers we had, end quote. He says he went and got what they wanted. They gave him $3 and told him to keep the change, which, I mean, $3 back then.
I assume he financed his first campaign with that $3.
Exactly.
From what I understand.
Yeah, exactly.
Money back then.
So there you go.
How does he remember that? I mean, why,
Right. I mean, he was 12.
Couple walks into store buys cigarettes and newspapers. Doesn't seem like something that would stand out.
Well,
to
it
me.
was at $3. I think his parents retired early on that $3.
That's right.
You know, my dad is in his 50s. He always talks about now we have always the stories are when I was in New York. You know, you could go to the movies and come back and everything for like 50 cents or whatever. And so I asked him like how much money did people carry in their wallets back then? You know, like because I really want to know, like, were you carrying like $1.50? That's all the money that you needed. It turns out like my mom's like this is kind of crap. Like people had money. Money still was money.
Right.
So, but $3 I think in Bonnie and Clyde's era was actual. That's probably the entire take from one bank.
Although when he says 2 cartons of old golds, Coca-Colas, and quote all the newspapers we have, like who does that? I'll have all of the newspapers you have.
Look, early aggregation. This is the thing. Bonnie and Clyde were the bank robbery they're known for, but they're way ahead of the curve. Way ahead of the curve on what Yahoo News is doing every day. News.yahoo.com. You're going to get Bonnie and Clyde, save them $3.
There you go.
Get all the information.
I also like what it says, 2 cartons of cigarettes. I guess, they sort of were anticipating early retirement.
Yeah, that did not really end well for them, right? They got all shot up.
Yeah.
And it all started with Ralph Hall.
That's it.
Ralph Hall turned him in.
Yeah, that's
what
what
it is. All right. Well, okay. So let's transition from one awkward encounter with people who got in trouble later to another one, which is the staff of a hotel in Amsterdam who found a Secret Service agent who was there ahead of time to prepare for President Obama's arrival in Amsterdam and for his European trip, drunk in a hallway, right? Drunk in the middle of a hotel hallway.
Drunk in a hallway.
In a hotel hallway. You've done a bunch of reporting on the Secret Service. Can you tell us a bit about this story and put it in context of sort of what it means for the Secret Service and what I mean, are they just are they losing it? Are they just going crazy? I mean, what's happening over there?
It's a good question. First of all, we should set the stage. The Secret Service sends teams to overseas locales, well, to every locale where the president's going to go, and they scout out every location. They walk the itinerary that he will walk. They experience everything the way he will experience it. Obviously, with one major exception. But the idea is to make sure that everything's in place for when the president arrives. Obviously, they don't do presidential security on the fly a lot.
Right.
It's a pretty tough life. They do assume certain risks,
and it's a huge group of people that go over there.
It's usually a big It's a big group of people, and unfortunately, they are given to letting off a little bit of steam. This is obviously another black eye for the Secret Service. And it's not that far removed from the Columbia prostitution scandal,
right?
That also affected the agency. The thing is, we tend to associate the proliferating headlines with maybe a growing problem. The fact of the matter is, though, that this kind of lifestyle has been going on for a while.
Right.
I remember in the Bush era, one of the Secret Service agents being tasered outside a bar in Waco, Texas, because he was overserved and declined to return to his hotel room. So this is not. I mean, it's not really that uncommon. We're just hearing a lot more about it. And frankly, we got to correlate it with something, which is they used to be in the Treasury Department. They got moved over to Homeland Security.
Yeah.
I guess Treasury knows how to keep its mouth shut.
Yeah, Treasury. That's Well, it was really a secret service back then.
Right. A lot of concepts.
Less secret.
A lot of concepts being missed here. I liked you made a point off air that I really like, which is whatever happened to leave no man behind.
I know. Just put the guy in the hotel room.
Worst wingman ever.
Yeah. So in a larger, so you also used to be a foreign correspondent. You reported on Washington for the AFP. What do Europeans think, or when they see this? I think a lot of the issue that people are talking about with this issue is how it might embarrass the United States. Do you feel like that's something that actually happens? I mean, are people, are Europeans just completely upset about this drunk?
Well, the short answer is no.
Okay.
The Europeans don't have the same mystique about the Secret Service that we do in the United States. So it's a very different story. It might be a blip. The local press will certainly carry it because it's a local story. It's interesting and it's tied to the visit of the President of the United States. So all that stuff combines, and I guarantee you, I don't speak any Flemish, but I'm sure that local press is going crazy about this.
Right. I mean, and the last time this happened, you mentioned the Columbia thing. It led to like a huge upheaval at the Secret Service. You had the guys who were involved got fired. A lot of people got fired. The head of the agency had to resign and was replaced with Julie Pearson, who is now actually on this trip with Obama.
Yeah, you don't want to be you really don't want to be the Secret Service guy found passed out drunk in a hotel hallway when the director is on the trip.
But yeah, on the plane coming in later.
It's a poor career decision.
Do you feel like she's going to keep her job through this, though? Do you have any idea? Do you think that she's going to be fine?
Well, I mean, it's a little harder to assign cultural blame to Julia Pearson. I mean, she hasn't been in this job all that long. Right. I mean, it's obviously going to turn heavily on how she handles this particular case. What happens to these agents? What does the investigation reveal too? Because this is all still very early.
Right.
We haven't had a formal report yet that says, well, actually, he took an Ambien and had a beer, and it had, we have none of the details that might be exonerative or might make things worse.
Ambien and beer, by the way, is what we call the Olivier Knox down in the White House basement.
That's right. So, 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. every day.
But yeah, I mean, and some of the issues with this story, right, is that it's not that the Secret Service agents aren't allowed to imbibe when they're on these trips. There's a 10-hour rule. They can't drink 10 hours before. So part of the issue with this is Obama was not in the country yet, wasn't going to be there for a while. This 10 hours that maybe they were partying runs up against kind of like ahead of like a briefing, I think is what it was. It's like not exactly like ahead of Obama's arrival. That's obviously going to come out in the investigation.
That's the thing. We're going to find out a lot more about this as it goes on. But right now, it obviously doesn't look good, and it's the kind of headlines that the Secret Service doesn't want. What with the whole secret word in the Secret Service.
So all right. Well, that's okay. So that's the breaking news out of the trip from last night. What do you think? Let's talk about this trip in general and what Obama's trying to accomplish on this tour through Europe and eventually into Saudi Arabia. What is he trying to accomplish, and how is it going?
Well, when this trip was announced, the headline item was going to be that the president was going to meet with Pope Francis at the Vatican. That was going to be the marquee event. The two of them have talked a lot about similar issues, about income inequality. The Pope famously came out and sort of knocked trickle-down economics. Social justice, all that stuff, that was all going to be an important part. And then you have the traditional Vatican-U.S. issues like the Middle East peace process and things like that. Well, Russia's annexation of Crimea has completely upended the trip in the sense that all of a sudden people are going to actually watch a speech that the President of the United States gives in Brussels. You think that your local DMV is bad, you should try the European Commission. This would have been sort of a symbolic speech. It would have been about transatlantic relations. It would have been about the economy, and now it's all about Crimea.
Right.
And that's important. That's completely reshuffled the deck.
Right.
The other event that was going to be really interesting to watch was going to be the president's visit to Saudi Arabia.
Right.
Saudi Arabia, a longtime American ally in the Middle East, but they're really ticked off about Obama's handling of Syria, where they think he should have been a lot more aggressive. And in the peace negotiations with Iran, the nuclear negotiations with Iran. Where they're watching this, they're really unsettled because if at the end of the day Iran can have any kind of a nuclear program, Saudi Arabia being in the neighborhood is going to worry that it needs to do the same.
Yeah. Now, part of what you're talking about is Obama has been out and about, really sort of trying to stick it to Putin. He said this thing about Russia's a regional power and all that. Yeah, we'll play it. Let's play it. Let's play the regional power clip.
Russia's actions are a problem. They don't pose the number one national security threat to the United States. I continue to be much more concerned when it comes to our security with the prospect of a nuclear weapon going off in Manhattan.
So
here's a couple of things about that.
So that's sort of saber rattling and also terrifying people back home, right?
And also, it's an obvious nod to Mitt Romney's comments.
Right. Well, that's what the question. Jonathan Karl asked a
campaign.
question about that. Yeah.
And the president kind of took Romney's words and rewrote them.
Yeah.
Romney said it was the number one geopolitical foe, meaning a global rival. But he said that Iran was actually the biggest national security threat. The president's reimagined this. It's a lot easier to disagree with today if you reimagine it as Romney saying that Russia's the biggest threat to the United States. And you're right. There's that flip side of like, also I'm following these many more important things that could affect you at home kind of message.
Do you think it's weird that so much of what's happened since the Ukraine invasion has been this storyline of like, was Romney right about Russia after all? I mean,
listen,
does that matter? I mean, are people in Europe? I mean, are people in Ukraine? You know, or do you think that they're thinking like, oh, well, that Romney guy, he knew what was up?
I think it's a natural fallback for political writers in the United States. The question for the Europeans is, what will the United States do next?
Right.
Not who's the more muscular looking person 2 years ago.
Well, Putin wins the most muscular-looking person.
Obviously, shirtless
shirtless
Putin.
Any
baby.
of these with the fish and everything.
I'm surprised he didn't annex Crimea on the back of a bear, shirtless.
We don't know that he didn't.
Putin shirtless, not the bear. Although both, I should say both. But I mean, I don't think that the Europeans are watching all that carefully in terms of personalities. I think the substance of the policy is, oh my God, what's next? Which is, really what the administration is worried about as well. But in terms of when you have political writers writing about foreign policy, you get to see a lot of things like, gosh, if only Obama were stronger, Putin wouldn't have annexed this strategically vital thing for him. Like, there's something I don't understand.
Well, of course, Putin invaded Georgia. Russia invaded Georgia while George W. Bush was president.
Although this leads us to another really bizarre White House talking point, which is the idea that this whole weakness thing is crap because Russia invaded Georgia, not that long after the invasion of Iraq. I didn't realize this White House considered the invasion of Iraq a show of strength.
Right. That is a new. I thought it
was a cataclysmic failure of American foreign policy. Did this suddenly get reimagined as like that was really cool?
Yeah. We'll buy into that. That's how you show your strength.
But in both cases, one of the big problems is that the United States, those are not core interests of the United States. It was. I knew how this was going to end the day that things really went to hell, and Putin was describing a strategic core interest. It's a warm water port,
right?
Which has been a preoccupation to the Russians since the time of the Tsars. Which I guess with Putin you might say that's now. But Putin's talking about a strategic core interest of Russia in its neighborhood, specifically the military value of Crimea, and the United States is defending the international norm that one does not take things from the other children aggressively. And, you kind of knew how that was going to end up because, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, by the way. I mean, one of the challenges about extending NATO, the defensive alliance designed to contain the Soviet Union, extending that eastward is at some point, every time you expand it, you're making the affirmative decision that American men and women are willing to die for this territory. Don't think if you put that into a poll, you would get a real high percentage for Crimea.
Right. Okay, so really briefly, is there some way you could tell us, people who are watching this trip when it ends, if we can determine whether it's been good for Obama or bad for Obama? Is there one thing that you're looking at as a person who covers this stuff?
I actually think that we're gonna see a lot in the couple days after the trip. We're gonna see how the papal. I still think the papal visit's the most interesting part of this.
Okay,
that's gonna be really interesting to see how that plays back home. And then of course the Saudi visit. But my eyes are still on the papal visit in terms of Obama's benefiting from this or not.
All right, papal visit. Thanks a lot, Olivier. It's awesome to have you in. This is great. This is really that was good, right?
This is like the White House basement with fewer beers and Ambien.
That's right. All right, I'm Evan McMorris-Santoro with BuzzFeed White House reporter, filling in for Bill Press. We got 30 more minutes to go. Stay with us. Bill Press Show.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids
you.
how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Okay, it's the Bill Press Show. I'm Evan McMorris-Santoro. We're back really quick. I wanted to say one thing. We still have Olivier Knox with us from Yahoo. Olivier is also, in addition to being a great White House reporter, is also an officer on the White House Correspondent Association board. And part of the recent things about Obama's trip was that an Israeli journalist was denied a visa in Saudi Arabia. And the White House Correspondent Association has condemned that action. Can you fill us in a little bit?
Michael Wilner of the Jerusalem Post was a regular member of the association. He's a regular reporter, and he was denied a visa to go cover the president's trip to Saudi Arabia. We, as the Correspondents Association, decided it was important to criticize this, to raise awareness of what had happened. Our president, Steve Thoma, put out a statement in the name of the board yesterday, calling it outrageous, saying it's an attack on the freedom of the press that we respect, that we cherish, and that we defend. It's extremely important. I'm not particularly optimistic that Saudi Arabia will reverse course on this, but it is important to raise this issue beforehand. You know, we are all about defending the ability of an adversarial press. Calling out the powerful in this country and elsewhere.
The Saudis did not respond to my request for comment on this yesterday. It's a very interesting story. I think it's something worth. I wrote a little bit about it on Buzzfeed.com/politics. You can go and see what the story is, but it's an interesting story to follow. And Obama also weighed in. The White House also weighed in on this and gave some pressure to Saudi Arabia as well. check it out. This is an interesting story. I think there's going to be more on it as things go along. I'm Evan McMorris-Santoro, White House reporter for Buzzfeed. This is the Bill Press Show. We'll be back for the final 30 minutes right after this.
This is the Bill Press Show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing down. I want you to just push the area.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan. Thank you. And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
It is The Bill Press Show. I am not Bill Press and haven't been since 6 a.m. I'm Evan McMorris-Santoro. I'm the White House reporter for Buzzfeed. We are going to talk. We've talked about everything this hour. This show. We've talked about the Secret Service getting drunk in Amsterdam. We've talked about the Obamacare extension. We've talked about the future of the Republican Party. And now we're going to talk about the Hobby Lobby case, the case that is wrapped attention across Washington, across the country. The big case is it's going to have ramifications in 2014, ramifications in what's going to go on maybe with your healthcare and maybe your employment. Joining me to talk about this is my colleague Chris Geidner, who is a legal editor at Buzzfeed. And actually, one of the reasons I went to Buzzfeed when Chris Geidner went to Buzzfeed, I was like, Buzzfeed, that's legit. And then I was hired, and instantly was like, Buzzfeed's less legit than I thought. But and also joining us to talk about this is Emily's List's Jess McIntosh.
Thanks for having me.
Who is a rock star in her own right. When you went to Emily's List, I was like, oh, good, Emily's List is also legit. So you guys are all legitimizers.
Come on over.
You guys are all legitimizers. All right, well, let's talk a bit about this case. I want to get into a little bit about what the actual details of the case are, what's actually being argued, and then some of the politics that are going around that. So, Chris, you were at the court yesterday, right?
Yes.
You were there for the case. You were there. You saw the arguments.
Yes,
you wrote the big story.
This was the fourth head-to-head with Paul Clement, who was George W. Bush's Solicitor General, and Donald Verrilli, who is now Obama's Solicitor General. So far, Donald Verrilli is 3-0. They had argued the SB 1070 case in Arizona, the DOMA case last year, and obviously the big ACA case 2 years ago.
So for a legal editor, this is like the Superman versus Batman.
These are the big
thing.
two. I mean, somebody, I forget who, so somebody will yell at me on Twitter for not giving them credit, said that basically that Paul Clement is the Republican Solicitor General, like just in the world, out in the world. He doesn't even need to be appointed. That's just what his role is. And it's kind of true. He has been representing that position. The court, regardless of the fact that it's 3-0, I mean, they are both very smart litigators who know the justices, know the sort of questions that they're interested in and the topics they're going to be discussing. So they make it a good show.
All right, so the rock stars are there. This is the big event. People are lined up outside ahead of time. People are bringing in their big foam fingers, Clement or whatever that they want to do. What were the arguments like? Give us a rundown a bit about what the case is about and how the arguments went yesterday.
The fact of how the case is sort of set up was made very clear by the fact that when Paul Clement got up to attack this contraception mandate, the first 5 minutes of questioning was all from three justices. Justice Sonia Sotomayor.
Those justices.
I'll let you tell me if they do. Justice Sonia Sotomayor, Justice Elena Kagan, and Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It was the three women justices, and they started
two of them Obama
picking
appointees.
apart. Yeah, two of them Obama appointees, one Clinton appointee, and they really started picking apart this argument that this requirement that was promulgated by the HHS that employers have to provide health insurance that includes preventive care, including contraception coverage, and really start to get at the legal issues that underpin it. And there's two main questions. The first question is whether or not, and this has been what almost all of the focus has been on, is whether or not for-profit corporations can receive the protections of this 1993 religious freedom law that enables people to say, literally the law says persons, to say that some government regulation is creating a substantial burden on their practice of religion. And so the question is whether or not there have been nonprofit corporations that are sort of religiously affiliated that have received the protections of this law. And the first sort of threshold question before the court is whether or not for-profit corporations like Hobby Lobby can have that protection.
So how did the justices that you referred to, the 3 women justices, respond to the argument from Clement and his people?
I mean, Justice Sotomayor is really, really skeptical of that, to say the least.
Right.
I think that, I mean, she was the one who brought out what Clement referred to as the parade of horribles, that this path will lead to bringing, she literally said, will bring religious objectors out of the woodwork, complaining about minimum wage laws, about sex discrimination laws, basically saying that they have that enforcing the child labor law creates a substantial burden on their religious beliefs, and so that therefore they should be exempted from the law.
So that seems to be in Obama's corner.
Well,
or the HHS's corner anyway.
That's her argument.
What about the conservative justices? What do they say?
Well, the
when they got a
response
chance
from Clement and when the conservative justices pushed back was, well, that's always been the case, and courts are able to sort that out, and that the whole passage of this 1993 law was Congress saying we trust courts to sort this out, to sort out whether or not these are legitimate claims or not, whether or not they are actually a substantial burden. And so the second question, if we once we decide whether or not they can even come to court, whether or not these for-profit corporations can bring it, then you get into the more traditional legal analysis of whether or not this places a substantial burden on the companies, and if it does, whether or not the in this case the provision of the contraception coverage in the healthcare plans is a compelling state interest, and whether or not and whether well,
all right, Jess,
depends.
We're gonna get here.
Well, no, that actually wasn't really argued. The main argument about the compelling state interest was whether or not the exceptions that the administration has written into the law constitute basically a backing off of being able to claim that as a compelling state
You've got a great story
interest.
breaking all this down and sort of pushing back on the idea that this should be as much of a political hot button as it is.
Well,
Nevertheless,
I mean,
it is a political hot button.
I mean, it's a political hot button because the decisions are going to change the way that the government has to consider when they're making legislation like this, because if the claims can come into court, they're going to need to make clear that it is a compelling state interest, that it isn't show somehow in the legislation or regulations that something isn't a substantial burden, because they'll know that there is the possibility of these cases going to court.
All right. Well, okay. So let's talk about the politics of it now, too. I mean, you mentioned a little bit about why it's a political hot button. Jess, why is this such a political? Like, why is this such a thing? What does this mean for Emily's List? Why are Democrats and Republicans both filling my Twitter feed with comments about this case?
Honestly, I can't explain why Republicans have gotten so behind this.
Okay.
98% of women. 98%. That is a lot of women. That's basically all of the women.
We call that a majority.
Yeah. Well, yes, we'll go with majority. Have used birth control at some point in their life. This is not a controversial issue. In fact, to call it a controversial issue is a little bit of a controversy. More women have gotten involved in politics because of the recent, in the last 3 years, attack on access to birth control. I mean, that has woken up women in their early 20s, young college students, a lot of young men, people who thought that men
are moved by the birth control
care
issue?
about birth control. It's So Emily's List added 1 million members last year, which is an off year, which is crazy. Like, that's just a ton of new people coming in. And a lot of that is around this issue. 27% of those new people were men.
Right.
I mean, we love our male allies at Emily's List. We support Democratic women, but we're happy to have men who
No, she doesn't. No, she's.
But 27% is a really big number for a women's organization. And I think that's because they are seeing these fights play out in 2014. which frankly they thought ended, with the 70s. We learned about them in elementary school, or I guess a progressive elementary school. I learned about them in high school.
Elementary school. Okay. So now you're advocating for birth control in elementary schools. Emily's list, folks.
Don't hold me to that. But the point is, yesterday's arguments, and then in a couple of months when we get the decision, all of these flashpoints just give us a very clear contrast between the two parties. The Republicans are advocating just an amazingly regressive agenda, and women are responding in kind. We had the biggest gender gap in history in 2012. Then you had the 2013 elections where, Ken Cuccinelli loses single women by 42 points. I would venture that the birth control issue was a big chunk of that 42-point loss.
Right.
When I don't know if you guys remember, but when there was this contraception question at the Republican debates back in 2012, it was like people took it as a gotcha question because everybody was like, why are you asking about this? I thought we had a Supreme Court case about that in the 70s. Right. And so, this has been part of a very concerted effort to sort of take back to the sort of underpinnings of Roe versus Wade, and to look at sort of getting it around the edges, like this is through the employer mandate, and whether or not it's a mandate, whether or not for-profit corporations.
But this isn't their only attempt to do exactly this. They've had legislation to do exactly this.
And listen, and I want to talk about another part of the argument has been a lot that there's like a slippery slope to other things, and you've written a little bit about that. I want to talk about that when we come back. We're going to take a break and come back for more talk about the Hobby Lobby case with two great guests, Chris Geidner and Jess McIntosh. Thanks a lot.
This is the Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek,
Newtown.
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
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 Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 None of us would want to be told we can't marry the person we love. As Americans, we believe in freedom. That's what I fought for as a Marine, and that's what we believe in as Republicans. Freedom means freedom for everyone. I didn't used to understand the importance of same-sex marriage, but after learning my brother was gay, I wanted the same rights for him. He was the best man at my wedding, and I want to be the best man at his. It's only fair that Calvin should have the freedom to marry the person he loves, too.
It's time for marriage.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
We're back at The Bill Press Show. I'm Evan McMorris-Santoro, filling in for Bill while he does important work on the beaches of Hawaii. There's snow here on the ground, Bill. I'm sure you're not listening because you're probably in Hawaii sleeping or eating poi or whatever they do over there.
It's 2 a.m. in Hawaii.
Oh, well, you just getting started.
Poi time.
Yeah, poi. It's your time for your night poi. Working on my night poi. Feel free to use that. Feel free to use that, everybody in America.
Hashtag night poi.
So we're with Jess McIntosh from Emily's List and Chris Geidner. We're going to keep talking a bit about the Hobby Lobby case, and we went over sort of the details of the case a bit. We're just getting into sort of the politics of it. We have a little bit of audio. Alyssa, do you want to set it up for us and then play it?
Sure. So we have Professor Dorothy Roberts at University of Pennsylvania makes the case that people shouldn't be telling women what to do with their bodies.
We are tired of politicians, preachers, and prosecutors, and now employers telling us what to do with our own bodies.
Okay, so that is this kind of political message we're going to hear a lot in 2014 from Democrats and such. Is that true?
I would imagine that you would hear a bit of that from Democrats, yes. I mean, I think it's interesting that the same issue profile that got Republicans so shellacked in 2012 is repeating itself in 2014. We have a much tougher map. I mean, midterms are tougher.
Right.
Democratic base doesn't turn out the same way that they do in a presidential year. We're running in traditionally red states and southern states like Kentucky and Georgia. We've got great candidates. They're really good races, but that is a much tougher map than 2012 was. However, this issue profile is staying exactly the same and exactly in Democrats' wheelhouse. I mean, we have the Republican Party, which now, frankly, they're expanding their war on women into economic issues like equal pay and the minimum wage, but they are hell-bent on this denying access to birth control idea, which is turning off women in droves. And we, Democrats, just keep putting up great Democratic women candidates to run against them, which offers a really clear contrast to voters. Like, one person obviously gets you, and the other one very clearly does not, based on their agenda. Republicans seem to know that they have an issue. Like, we're about a year out of their, rebranding, and they have said several times that they know they have an issue with women and they're going to do something about it, but the only thing they do about it is to say, again, that they know they have an issue with women and they're going to do something about it.
Well, their argument about the birth control stuff, right, is that they think that we've heard, I guess, Sarah Palin put this out there when she was speaking at CPAC in her big speech. And she put out this idea that this is kind of an insulting issue, that women want to talk about other stuff than this.
Yeah, we do. We really do. We don't want to be talking about birth control. It's a settled, non-controversial issue. 98% of women have used it. We don't need to talk about it.
Right.
Like, the only reason, I mean, Sarah Palin is entirely correct, but the only people putting this on the table as a thing we gotta talk about are the Republicans who want to deny access to it. You don't get to 98% with just Democrats. If we had 98% Democrats, we wouldn't be talking about Republicans. They wouldn't exist. Like, that's women across the board.
I mean, beyond that stuff, I mean, what that professor just talked about and that women's in their bodies, we're also hearing arguments, Chris, about that this ruling could open the floodgates to all sorts of kind of weird and bizarre moves by bosses, using religious exemptions to do stuff. Right, what have you heard? What kind of arguments have you heard of that? And what kind of validity is there to that particular line of reasoning, which I'm hearing a lot more of as this case becomes more in the news?
I mean, I think that this case was sort of queued up by the whole debate out in Arizona over the religious liberty bill there, which you talk about where the public is on an issue. I mean, the difference between taking a carefully crafted, nuanced, complex case to the Supreme Court versus actually fighting it out in the electoral sphere. And that's where I think Jess's point about, like, this isn't a winner politically. We saw what happened with Jan Brewer, who has shown us that she is not afraid of controversy. She is not afraid of taking a hard right position when it suits her.
Right.
She vetoed the bill there. And the concern is, and that what that was when this national RFRA was passed. RFRA was passed. RFRA. There were these state versions of the law passed as well, because the Supreme Court said that the federal Religious Freedom Restoration Act couldn't apply to the states.
And I'm going to cut you off.
These state ones, the problem is whether or not on the state level, these sort of expansions that Justice Sotomayor was concerned about, that this could be applied to sex discrimination laws.
Can it? Briefly?
It's a case-by-case basis, and the odds are not.
Okay.
At the end of the day, states can more easily show they have a compelling state interest in those laws.
Okay. Chris Geidner, legal editor of Buzzfeed, with the analysis. Jess McIntosh with Emily's List with the politics of it. Happy to fight on this issue. I'm Evan McMorris-Santoro, White House reporter for Buzzfeed. This is the Bill Press Show. We got some more coming up. Thanks.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey friends, do you realize that heart disease kills more Americans every year than all forms of cancer combined? So when you donate to the American Heart Association, you're contributing to life-saving research with every dollar. You can make your donation today through the Pop Money personal payment service. All you do is download the app or go online to popmoney.com. Sign up to send your donation to jessica.gramillion@heart.org. jessica.gramillion@heart.org. Here's the best part. The 95-cent fee is assessed to you, the sender, regardless of how much money you contribute. That means that 100% of your donation goes to support the ongoing research to help save lives across America. No fees are paid by the American Heart Association, getting more bang for your buck. And of course, terms and conditions apply.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
McMorris-Santoro filling in for Bill. We're wrapping it up here at the Bill Press Show. Another great day. I want to thank all the staff here for guiding me through my second time guest hosting. It's a really lot of fun. Thanks for participating on Twitter. Thanks for calling in. I want to take just a quick minute, personal privilege moment. I'm heading to North Carolina this weekend. My best friend from growing up is opening his own bar in Durham, North Carolina, called The Social. If you live in Durham, come out on Saturday. You got to come check it out. It's at thesocialdurham.com. I'm Evan McMorris-Santoro. I will be there. You can meet me in person this Saturday night, downtown Durham, The Social Durham. Thanks a lot for listening. Bill Press Show. We'll be back tomorrow with another guest host. And thanks a lot.
We love you, Evan.
This is the Bill Press Show.
When danger is imminent, will you be prepared? No.